You're listening to 148.8 Coon. Don't ever let me find you talking shit about your parents. It'll make you appreciate that you still got a daddy. If you ain't got one, don't you worry. I'm gonna be your new stepdad.
Fuck you, YouTube! If you're cool enough to watch a new streamer this week, you're a big enough Chad to watch Single Player Carl. Bad words, Carl's a breakdown. Memes! If you think you'll find a bread tuber at Single Player Carl's, you can kiss my aunt. It's our belief that if you're such a base mother lover, you watch this guy's stream. Guaranteed! If you don't find niggatry cool, you can shove it up your subscribe list. You heard us right. Shove it up your subscribe list. Bring your friends, bring your pets, bring your mom. We'll love your mom. That's right, we'll love your mom. At Single Player Carl's, you'll catch 6 ways a Sunday. Take a hike to Single Player Carl's, home of challenge laughing. That's right, challenge laughing. How does it work? If you can catch Carl being ignorant as fuck and not laugh once, you'll get nothing but shame. Don't wait, don't delay, don't fuck with us or you'll whip your weave off. Only at Single Player Carl's, the only stream that tells you to fuck on. What are you waiting for? Go to Single Player Carl's, New Orleans' snappiest, an exclusive home to the meanest sons of Cajuns in the state of Georgia. Guaranteed!
You're listening to 148.8 The Coon. You know, sometimes y'all just don't need to be talking. Just close your mouth. Just close your mouth. You're listening to 148.8 The Coon. And now, for a word from our sponsors. Sponsors for Single Player Carl and Radio The Coon are provided by BBC Migraine Powder, Jib and Toby's Ethnic Enrichment Playground, Cringe On Demand, Blockbuster Entertainment, Uncle Tony's Riot Seasoning, Smart Negro Brand Colonized and Sheets Dating App, Immemorial Malt Liquor, and PointDexter.com, and the generous donations and watch times from viewers and haters like you. Thank you! And if you'd like to support Carl, consider leaving a wonderful donation at Ko-fi.com, Subscribestar.com, YouTube.com, and Twitch.com/SinglePlayerCarl. Make sure to support your nickname today, or you hate black people. Hello, hello, hi, hello, hi, hello, hi, hello. I'm Carl. And this is part 2 of what will be probably the hardest content I will do this month, this year, concerning the most annoying kind of person we will ever discuss this month, this year. Last time on Single Player Carl, we were inundated with help from Head Mod Horror and Hellfire and business lead, associate, and owner of the channel Dioplock, Foggy.exe, with the content of Leadhead, a transgender video essayist that has designed what can be understood and described as the
quintessential essence of the bread tuber. Assessing and addressing the document, we learned that Leadhead, in their infinite wisdom, wanted to describe and ascribe an easier, simpler way to potentially abuse kids. Because in this, we learned that they are not actually a transgender mother to actual children, but instead, they are the dominant money-making partner in a transgender polycule featuring adult-aged individuals that we learned throughout the content explicitly were approached with the intention of being friends with I love my internet provider. At least this time we got it straight up out the way today, huh? Anyways, as I was saying, we would learn that Leadhead was involved with members of this throuple polycule, featuring a then 19 and 20-year-old adult in their mid-20s, trying to then raise mid-20s, newly converted transgender converts inside of what can be known as a halfway house, specifically catering to those of a transgender and or queered personality. So, through the content, we learned that they were intentionally meant to be friends with benefits. Multiple times in the content, as can be labeled by the timestamp, they would subtly attempt to manipulate the narrative as well as the discussion and the intake of the information around the subject matter by trying to make it seem as though it was not that serious, specifically for vibes over design, as was admitted by Leadhead in the back half of the content. They would then go on to belabor and insult their mother, the idea of motherhood for cisgendered, you can't see me, but I'm air quoting it, cisgendered women that were born. They would then continue to antagonize the idea of what motherhood was in terms of sacrifice. They would go on to complain about the idea of finally understanding why their mother would want to try and create small happy moments for the family to look back on, and how selfish it was of them to want to have a good moment that they could remember for themselves, labeling that as being corrupted because motherhood is supposed to be thankless sacrifices with no understanding. They missed the entire point of the childhood book, The Giving Tree. Claims that if they're going to be a mother, that they're going to not like the idea of it, and that they're going to hate it. Excuse me, I'm hearing dog shit opinions from the other room. It would then transition to the middle part of the video where they would then try to give a presser and a briefer to explain how actually none of the things that you just heard them admit to were obsessive, weird, crazy, stalkerish, or outlandish, and that actually it was completely normal and fine. Obviously the B-roll footage meant to go along with this yap session of video. They would go on to do this for an exorbitant amount of time, from 17 minutes to 19 seconds, all the way up into about 24 minutes and 22 seconds into the video, trying to phrase their understanding of femininity and of motherhood as a history lesson behind queer spaces, about that giving that motherhood is about things that it's not, trying to explain away the craziness of the attitudes and behavior, describing how, with their partner, they designed a power structure around good cop, bad cop, and trying to have mutual understanding and bargaining and sharing amongst individuals. admitting that the adult children that they were responsible for in this polycule of sexuality were in fact individuals that then had partners of their own, and that they clearly were not being open about this information. This was not something that was easily presentable out where anybody could see it. It's not something you could come across on a Vice News documentary. This was explicitly buried details that if you just listened for vibes on the content, you would have never noticed and you would have never seen if somebody didn't point it out to you and call it out. They would then go on to give a bunch of active bragging that they're going to use the subtext of this entire content saga that they made this work as a part of, known as the Honesty Saga, was meant to be the viewpoint of how they would discuss it, and then explicitly wanted to make the videos pretty, to make them movies that were thus then binge-watchable, so that people didn't have to think about them. Explicitly, that the idea and the concept and character of the idea of motherhood was meant for a deeper conversation about sex, sexuality, sexual experience, and the transgender mentality with this idea. With a further direct mention being that found families, unlike biological families, are meant to stay together, despite the fire-forged bonds or blood ties of fraternity, of belonging, and of choice directive. With a joke, they framed it as though it were a joke, but is an actual direct connotation from which the title of this video goes and comes from, being that they are going to chop down the tree of motherhood that was given to them by their biological parent, someone who they never consider themselves in respect of, and instead we're going to carve their philosophy and their mindset out of the new tree based in their sexuality, their gender expression, and their lack of a religion, replacing their holistic or spiritual values. Ergo, carving God from the wood of her hunger. All of this then would be followed by a post that they would then make on the timeline, both on Twitter as well as on Blue Sky, explicitly telling their audience that they should ignore any person who sees this material, do not engage with the material, bury the material, do not discuss it, do not talk about it, ignore the shite, and do anything possible to ignore what the fuck is discussed, described, understood, or could be got from the material that they found inside of the material that you will see in the Honesty Saga. So any person who, like myself, or my woman, or Horror and Hellfire, or Foggy.exe of the Op Block, any content creator, any creator of any kind, of any background could do so. If you effectively look into the fact that Leadhead admitted to being a part of a transgender polycule that plays with the idea of family dynamics as a part of their kink system, you're a bigot, you're a Nazi, you're a racist, you're doing a fascism, you're full of Hitler particles, you're to be ignored, you're to be disposed of, you are not to be concerned with, they do not want to hear about it, they do not want to see it, they don't want people to talk about it, they claim that they should, quote, let them have their fun, get bored and then move on, because their opinions ultimately have zero impact on reality, and therefore engaging in the material is pointless and, quote, drags people down. We are going to get into part 2 now, which is where the thumbnail image on the stream comes from. But we are now going to find out why Leadhead desperately had to cheat on their then and now ex-girlfriend because they couldn't micromanage her depression. So to answer Lazy, this is one part a fact-finding stream and one part a reaction stream. Hello, hi, I'm Single Player Carl. We do interesting things here. Sit down, strap in. You're about to see some real shit. Let's dive right in, chat. Let's dive right in. As I put it on the stream. How's everybody doing today? Is everybody ready for what we're about to get into? Because, bro, I slept as much as I possibly could, and I still woke up
with night terrors today. It was really a great idea from Horror to have Star talk about motherhood because, bro, when I first watched the video, as I talked about last stream, I was not prepared for what I was going to hear. As we then tried to understand it and discuss it, I've only become more annoyed. So, I'm seeing it through to the end. We're going to go wherever this thing takes us to, and bro, we will only have the pain and the memories and the tears to remind us. Make sure to remember to say thank you, Horror, for causing us this psychological pain. Bringing up the playlist. And we're on Honesty.
In my mind.
Dragging back to the start. Picture in picture. For those that are new here and have no idea what we do here, please be aware that we are going to stop and start. If you are familiar with every frame of pause, then you can understand what we're going to be doing here. Please feel free to ask questions. And without further ado, let us begin. So artsy, so fancy. Just sitting in the car late at night, way past midnight, staring on your cell phone. So artistic, so true. I'd like to be remiss to mention that on this video, there is a tag for the Suicide and Crisis Hotline.
Do you feel alone? Do you, whether you're talking with somebody, hugging them, kissing them, fucking them, or even looking directly into their eyes, feel like you're still alone?
We are watching a video in a video chat. Peek! 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 What the fuck? What the fuck? I cannot say enough times what the fuck. We started here. We started with, hey, here's all this information about how I sexually get down, right? And then we supercut immediately into avant-garde, video within a video, pixel within pixel, widescreen view. This is not an affectation right here, chat. This is not a choice. This is how they framed the video. The video is open in theater. It's open in a widescreen 16 by 9 view. Explicitly. That is a creative decision and a creative choice. Because remember, they're supposed to be like movies. They're supposed to be they're supposed to be like a student film. You can binge watch this, chat. If you hadn't, because the first video of the playlist is the end of the playlist, right? Because you know that this came before that. Do you see why it's so important to have watched the first one in context? They're beating around the bush, despite the fact that they come out and admit everything. Even in their content, they were beating around the bush. Why are people like this? Because you don't give me money, mate. I can't tell you why Leadhead is specifically the way that they are. I would say sexual dysfunction in her case. Probably significant autism and sexual dysfunction. I don't know what possessed them to go onto the internet and just tell all their secrets behind an avant-garde view of video creation. But hey, bro, here we are. C'est la vie.
Have you spent your life trying? I got a pretty big night ahead of me. I've got to pick up my girlfriend from work around 8 a.m., but I just can't sleep, and I'm sick of being at home. Vertigo hasn't been super bad lately, though, so I kind of figured I'd just drive around for the rest of the night, sort of clear my head and wait for her to get off. But there's a reason I'm in this particular parking spot. A little over a year ago, I had an affair.
1 minute, 34 seconds. 1 minute and 34 seconds in, they admit that they cheated on their partner. After this avant-garde view of their own phone watching a video from their honesty saga in their playlist.
This might sound like the introduction to an apology video, but it really isn't. This is a video about how I got my soul back. This is a video about how I rebuilt myself after nearly losing everything. This is a video about every single one of my friends coming to hate me and how they slowly came to trust me again. This is a video about hating myself, and this is a video about loving myself. This is a video about how I used to be evil but became good again. This is a video about honesty. For years now, I've prided myself on my communication skills and my willingness to say anything about my life on this channel. I'm an open book, and I always have been. But there was a caveat to that. For my entire life, I was a strong believer in the idea of what they don't know won't hurt them. I was of the opinion that lying to people was okay if it spared someone some pain. This perspective created a wall between myself and everyone else in the world. A lead head that my brain was always going to be isolated within. Nobody could get in, and nothing real could get out. I was permanently divided from everyone else, all alone in my head, holding on to my secrets as the sole protector of these ugly, heartbreaking truths about a person that the people in my life cared a lot about. Weirdly enough, before the affair showed me just how dangerous this perspective was, it was something that I took pride in.
So, let's run this to about 134 to 307-ish. 307-ish works in my regard. They start this off with a flat-out admittance of their cheating on their girlfriend, with a long preamble about honesty, while making the admittance about this preamble of their cheating into video essay content. Yes, she does indeed have Minecraft music in the background, Migalak. I'm glad you noticed. We have 2 audio files in the chat today. Meanwhile, the video starts itself as an artsy-fartsy breakdown of their own content.
Stale in the cookie, but fresh in the cream.
Let's keep going.
I was burdening myself with secrets in order to protect the people who cared about me. I was fully intent on carrying that particular secret to the grave. After we called it off, myself and the girl I was secretly involved with, let's call her Ashley, were deleting messages for hours, discussing all these plans for how we'd keep what we did a secret. We would never speak of this again. Well, one day I broke down. See, the issue with designing my entire life philosophy on the fact that nobody would ever be able to bridge the gap I created between my mind and theirs is that eventually someone does find a way to genuinely connect with you in a way that you didn't think could ever be possible. If you spend your entire life building a wall around yourself, the idea that someone else could ever tear it down doesn't even occur to you until it's already happened. This is what happened with my girlfriend and I.
So without the flowery words, writ small. They were holding on to secrets to protect other people because of their affair, but they didn't plan on their heart being opened. Listen, bro, I'm good. Like, bro, you gotta understand, I was doing it, but I didn't plan on having my heart being open, bro. I didn't expect me to actually fall in love. Is it going to be an I cheated but on the victim story? I'm not going to call it because I haven't seen it yet. But I'm going to make a hard prediction that it's going to be I cheated, but here's why it was actually good, though. Now, remember in context that, assumptively, the girlfriend that they are now with, the transgender partner, is now their fiancé. I cheated on my then girlfriend, now fiance, but I'm better now. We're in a trans polycule of other adults, but we cosplay as a family. Get up. Get up, get up, get up, get up. Like, da-da! It sounds like a porno. If we give it a funky title, it can be an anime. Let's keep going.
I was, and still am, deeply in love with her. That never stopped being the case over the entire duration of the affair. You might be wondering how that could possibly be true. I'll be examining that particular mystery later, but at the time, the fact of the matter was that I was being dishonest to the person I was in love with. The person who, to this day, I cannot even conceptualize a future without. The person who I know I'm going to marry and die with. Her and I were picking up Ashley from work after driving around all day, looking at the different apartments that we'd seen online. And something hit me. Something happened that had never happened to me before. I thought to myself, I respect this person too much to let her sign another lease with me before she knows the truth, before she knows what I'm capable of. She was fully intent on spending her whole life with me, but she had no idea that I could do something like this. Like I said, the affair had already been called off at the time, and both of us were intent on keeping that secret to the grave, but, well, my girlfriend tore down the wall. I cared about her too much to keep up the act. While we were waiting for Ashley to clock out and get in the car, parked in this exact parking spot, as a matter of fact, I told my girlfriend what we had done. Naturally, she broke down. All of her worst fears had been realized. Her girlfriend and one of her best friends had been completely disregarding her mental health and conspiring to just keep her in the dark about what we were capable of.
I was in love with her while I was cheating on her. I respect her too much to not break her heart. I just had to come clean. We had already stopped cheating once I told her. And if here you first hear the first mentions of mental health, you see, Leadhead's girlfriend in this video is mentally ill. We're not going to surmise why. That's not our job. They admit that they are mentally ill, and they chose to commit to cheating, and then chose to confirm paranoia that they obviously expressed before with this admittance that they were in fact correct, and they in fact should not have been dating you and should not have trusted you, because not only did you cheat on them, you then admitted to them fears that they had already prognosticated. I, for one, would like to know how you became better and good and honest if this was the start. Me personally. Saw this in Cope and See when I was curious after the last video you showed. Won't spoil anything, but it damned what the other guy from the last video said. It's manipulative dishonesty. Oh, it's all manipulative dishonesty, of course. And the unfortunate thing is that it just is, it's a horrible, unfortunate coincidence that Leadhead happens to be transgender. Because every single person that is going to watch this content who does not have an open mind and is not interested in getting to the bottom of the facts and learn in real time, their knee-jerk reaction is going to say, well, this is what happens when you have transgender delusion. And that's not fair. Because I'm more than certain that amongst the people who will see this content, both in real time and on the VOD that there is 100 transgender people that simply want to have healthy, happy lives and lead their own lifestyle choices with the alternative or the mainstream choices they choose to make that don't do this. And Leadhead and their behavior is going to be an open case example of someone's reference of, oh, I heard about what them trans people do. We ain't talking about them. Don't repeat the word I'm about to say. Don't repeat the words I'm about to say. Don't repeat the words I'm about to say. I heard about them. But goddamn, them Looney Tunes, you better keep your eye on them. We shouldn't have to stand up and abide this in a normal society. I would suggest that you shouldn't abide by this within people on fucking YouTube. So when they throw out this preamble saying disengage with their content, don't give them attention, don't even look forward to them, this goes both ways, babe. Both ways. You want to bury the people commenting on you? We can bury you too. We can discuss the material and bring it up and never talk about it again. But people will know that it existed. And when they go to investigate you and your work, and you say, I don't want to get into it, I don't want to discuss it, they will come to us and say, hey, single player Carl, hey, Cope and Seethe, hey, OpBlock, can you explain it? Not only will we explain it, we've got dossiers ready and waiting for you. Go in by your leisure. And people will come to their opinion by themselves. They don't need me to do it, but if I'm going to do it, let me do it in a way where everybody can find out at the same time. So we can all hold each other's hair back and vomit. The sheer disgust that I have that she admits to cheating on their partner, then confirming their fears. Heartfelt annoyance. Because being transgender and doing this is one thing. Being the mainline moneymaker who is a communist, who wants people to not look into their personal life, not look into how they make their money, just shut up and consume the content, that's another thing entirely too. And I got opinions about that too. Doing all this shit as well, I got opinions on that too. But this individual wants to call themselves a parent. But the parent is a parent to an adult child that they were planning to hook up with frequently. And in their alternative lifestyle, they tried to make space for themselves as a mother, besmirching and insulting all mothers out there. In the same way you're insulting those mothers, when you do this shit, technically the camera's here, when you do this shit, you're besmirching all YouTubers out there, and all transgender people out there. Now everybody's mad at you. Good job, you unified everybody together. Let's keep going.
And she only found out because of what must have appeared to her to just be a fluke in my programming. When Ashley got in the car and found out that I'd let our secret leak, she was furious with me. So I drove the two of them home feeling lonelier than I'd ever felt before, and knowing that I deserved that much loneliness and more.
Good! You should have stayed alone! So you learned your lesson!
I did my best to answer all my girlfriend's questions honestly, but
Hi, horror. Bye, horror. We have been jump scared by the horror in Hellfire. Press 1 to show your appreciation to your demon goddess. Press 3 if you accidentally hit 3 on your keyboard. Press 2 if you have no idea who that is. Wave along with it, chat. Just wave along with it. Just wave along with it. Just smile and wave, boys. Just smile and wave. This is your fault! This is your fault!
I just couldn't. I wasn't a strong enough person to be completely honest with her, and so I kept a lot of details hidden.
Oh, you wasn't a strong enough person to be responsible. You weren't a strong enough person to keep it in your pants. You weren't a responsible enough person or a strong enough person to be able to be a strong fucking partner in a relationship. You weren't strong enough to cast off temptation. You weren't strong enough for a lot of shit. The last one I want to say, I'm not going to say, because I'm being nice right now.
To be honest, I thought I was finally doing the right thing, but only telling her half of the truth feels like the most selfish thing that I've ever done.
Well, you see, here's the problem with that, right? Here's the problem with that, Leadhead. When we're talking about honesty, do you think that the most important thing that you could have done was supposed to be come clean and destroy their psyche and destroy their mentality? Because those are your words. You weren't strong enough to not cheat on her. I need one without this, thank you. You were not strong enough to not cheat on her and not come clean. Right? That's the most selfish you have ever been. I don't think that's the most selfish you've ever been. You know how I think the most selfish you've ever been is? I think the most selfish you've ever been is for you to talk about this drama for content and then act like other people cannot judge you for the fact that you did that to them and say that that is selfish of us. Okay? Forget intellectual dishonesty by trying to inform people about the version of events that you've told people about so that they can be annoyed and upset at you on the internet, right? We're way past that. You weren't strong enough not only not to cheat on them, to keep it in your pants, to be loyal, and to actually respect the relationship. You weren't strong enough to respect their mentality and understand that you just need to let the guilt eat you alive. Non-stop. Let the guilt eat you alive inside. And you think you're lucky stars and pray to those same lucky stars that they never find out how easy it was for you to betray them. Because there's nothing more selfish than cheating on your partner and then making it into content to then enrich yourself. That to me is the part that I don't get. I can't stand that. Not only did you cheat on them, you cheated on them and made money off of it. You got to fuck your partner while fucking your cheating partner and then got to fuck them again. Both of them. Both of them. At the same time. What in the hentai makes you think that putting this video out there in the first place was even acceptable in the context of a goddamn playlist about honesty on your channel? You could not torture this out of me! First off, you wouldn't be able to get me to fucking break in the first place because that woman is molded and crafted for me from God, dipped in the finest country gravy the South has to offer with all the MSG that could come in a meal. But you could not get this shit out of me. You could not get this shit out of me. Couldn't do it. Couldn't do it. Couldn't do it. Because by putting this out there, you've destroyed your personality for any person who ever comes across your content ever. You can never give advice about dating. We will never take advice from you about dating. We will never take advice from you about how to manage a relationship. Because you can't. And worse off, we can't take advice from you about being a content creator. This honestly should have been taken off of YouTube, in my opinion. Because it has so many levels of privacy concern. Because now, your ex, your cheating partner, and whomever else comes across this content has to keep in mind that you will air anything for clout and for monetary involvement. Let alone the fact you are not a trustworthy person. So I'd love to hear how they all came around to trusting you again.
She had her reality shattered, and I got to feel like I was finally being honest, all without worrying about committing fully to honesty. I just plain didn't learn my lesson. I thought that I could go right back to keeping secrets. This would be around the time that I started work on that Disco Elysium video you saw in the beginning. All about how being completely honest, open, and communicating with people without compromise seemed like a fantasy that the laws of physics could never abide, and how the filter of language would always dilute any thought.
The shaking of the voice, Bogdan, is called vocal fry. This is something that all video essayists do. It is a learned choice of how to describe, to sound more connected. No, she did not delete the motherhood video. It is unlisted on this channel. Lord have mercy. As you can see here, it is not deleted, it's just unlisted. Focus, 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 focus. Anyways, the vocal manipulation that you're describing, Bogdan, is vocal fry. They are choosing to say the words difficult and hard so that it feels more emotional, like they're really struggling to talk. It's like making content for ASMR where you're acting. It's acting. She's acting. She's acting. It's more manipulative behavior to make you feel bad about them, as is the choice of how they chose to frame everything. You gotta remember, though, as they embedded in the back half of the early impressions of motherhood, that was a creative choice. She wants this to be like a bingeable video. She wants you to engage with those words like a bingeable video. What you're going to remember more is the way and emotively they spoke evocatively, not the information that they're describing to you as they're doing so. You're attaching the attention to the perspective and the perception of an emotion rather than the actual details in her words. So you are 100% correct. It is manipulative.
Or feeling I had to the point of not being.
It's also just the way that that's just their vocal tone. I think they've done some amount of work of voice feminization, so that's a thing. I am less concerned about the vocal fry because yeah, it is what it is, and damn, don't that suck? Yet another transgender individual who happens to also be a communist, who's also a breadtuber on YouTube, who really loves Disco Elysium. Who could have seen that coming? But anyways, it's really unfortunate because it's just more shit to pile on top of. But that's not what we're here for. Lock in.
Perfectly pure or accurate. Go figure. Well, over the next couple of months, it seemed very clear to me that Ashley couldn't keep living with us. My relationship would never be able to heal from this if she was around. And what I now know was a lie, a bid to keep me from hating her. Ashley told me that she didn't regret what we did.
So, a full-throated admittance that not only did you cheat on your partner, you cheated on your partner, and you cheated with them because they were living with you. You effectively cheated with your roommate on your girlfriend, and you were still living with them after cheating. So, for context, this video from the Honesty trilogy was made 5 months ago. If I go to their channel, and I go to look for their Disco Elysium video, the game that defined me, that was made 1 year ago. This was published on October 29th, 2023. The Honesty video was published October 4th, 2024, but made for members first on September of the same year. So, it premiered in September. specifically September 26th, 2024, but then premiering and being allowed to be viewed by everyone else on October 4th, 2024. By bringing up these times on the screen, can anybody address the problem here? If it's hard to view, don't worry, I'm about to zoom in. Looking at the dates here, based on when they admitted they were involved, and based on when they came forward with the production of this, can anybody notice the problem here? Anybody? Anybody at all? It's really funny when you notice what it is. Correct, Megalag. They kept this secret from their partner for almost nearly a full fucking year. To the date! Count about a month and 3 days, to be exact. You cheated on your partner. And you lived in their house! You lived with them! You lived with the person you cheated on with your partner in the same fucking room! Paying the same rent! The chat should be showing up on screen, because that's your chat right there, Bogdan. The chats are unified. So, you should be... Where are you? Yeah, you're here on YouTube. All of this is in the live chat, bro. What do you mean the chat ain't showing up on screen? Anyways, you lived in the house with your cheater and your girlfriend. I don't know that information at this time, Megalag. We have yet to fill in. Right now, we're focused on the material that's coming from the Honesty video. We're going to tie it in as we get towards the end of everything else. Just focus on this, because you're going to confuse the shit out of yourself. Let's start with the dates. You were roommates and cheated on your girlfriend with your roommate. Then tried to hide that information for nearly to a year to the date. Then released content exposing yourself about the cheating you did. Question number 1. How do we know that you stopped cheating the entire time? That's the first question. Whoop. How do we actually know that Leadhead is being honest? Because the honest answer is that we don't. They chose to edit what they wanted in. They chose to leave out what they wanted out. Let's go back, replay a few seconds before.
That the laws of physics could never abide, and how the filter of language would always dilute any thought or feeling I had to the point of not being perfectly pure or accurate. Go figure. Well, over the next couple of months, it seemed very clear to me that Ashley couldn't keep living with us. My relationship would never be able to heal from this if she was around. And what I now know was a lie, a bid to keep me from hating her. Ashley told me that she didn't regret what we did. Ironically enough, hearing that is what made me hate her. Regret had become the focal point of my existence, but there she was, telling me in private that she didn't regret it. I didn't realize that she was lying to me until much later, and that she did regret it, but that was the final straw. My girlfriend said she would be okay with it if Ashley kept living with us, but she told me it was my choice in the end. I kicked her out. And when my girlfriend and I couldn't find an apartment of our own and our landlord raised the rent past what 2 people could afford on our own, we lost the apartment and had to move back in with my parents. That's why I said in the Minecraft video that losing the apartment was, in some small butterfly effect way, my fault.
So, it seems clear to me that Ashley can't live with us if she's around. I didn't want to hate her. but she didn't regret how she insulted my girlfriend. She was lying and did care, but then I kicked her out. Then we lost the apartment. Why was it necessary for you to cheat in the first place? Because I would say if you sticking your princess wand into someone else then led to you having to go live with your parents, and based on how you talk about your mom and how you don't even talk about your dad whatsoever, you think about a family unit, how can you even begin to think that you are ready to even call yourself a parent to someone else? You can't even handle your own fucking social life, bro. You can't even manage that. You are less strong of a potential romantic partner in a relationship comparative to any of us in chat, or even the lowest drag IQ streamer or game player of a Call of Duty game or a MOBA. I don't know the answer to that question, Megalag. I don't know if her mother has seen the motherhood video. I'm going to assume no, unless they admit that they did. Because since it is unlisted, that means the only way to find that video would be to have watched the original and or have gotten someone who saw the original and downloaded and re-uploaded the original broadcast. Still, lock in. Lock in. These are all questions for the end. Write them down in case you have to ask them. Because I can and will take questions based on what I learned on the podcast, but don't get bogged down. Don't get bogged down. So, this would have been sent to the mom in 5.6 seconds. Based! Megalag. Very based. So, we went from at 1 minute 34 seconds to an admittance that said, I was cheating on my girlfriend. I was hoarding secrets to protect others, but I didn't plan on my heart being open. I was good, but I was evil before. And we learned that you were living with them in the apartment. You were cheating on them consummately in the apartment. You then went through the steps and the motions to attempt to hide it. You attempted to hide it. And only through the power of penis did you come clean. You socially manipulated your partner into basically forgiving you, because what you should have done was break up with them. But you stayed with them. Because they gave you the choice to say, well, I don't want you to remove them, they're your choice. That was a test. And once again, you were not strong enough. You failed! Because they wanted you to make the choice out of being the lead. I was going to say being the man, but of being the lead in the relationship. You didn't take responsibility on that, so you failed to keep your legs closed. They then give you the choice to keep the cheating person in. To anyone on the outside, by trying to find a way that you could even begin the conversation as though it was not already decided beforehand that you were going to tell them and that they'd have to leave anyways, the fact that you even attempted to do that step, that's already evil to begin with. What I know, having been told about this ahead of time, your excuse for why you did it in the first place is even more fucking heinous. But then to consider your actions then led to a lowering of your quality of life and her quality of life. You dragged her through your choice into being miserable with you in your parents' house. And we don't know whether or not you came clean to your parents. You told them the circumstances behind why it happened. And then you chose to shatter on your mom and how she tried to make things at least be some type of livable and memorable for you and the people in your home. And you talk shit about them. You say that they've made too many sacrifices. They care more about being a Hallmark picture than being real. Nigga, I would take your mom's Hallmark moments over the reality of the pain and torture that you put everyone emotionally through, because I can't believe that they didn't fucking throw you out. Maybe only from the grace of your dad arguing for it, or your mom trying desperately to understand your lifestyle choices. Did they not throw you on the streets? Because if it had been someone like my parent, they probably would have thrown your ass on the fucking street. If it had been like anybody's parent in chat, they would have thrown you out on the fucking street. Because I imagine, if you're being so honest, and this is the second question, how many people were you really honest about this with? Because I'm going to bet that you weren't honest at all with your family. You didn't tell your family not one fucking iota. That you didn't tell your mom and you didn't tell your dad. That, hey mom, hey dad, the reason why me and Kimberly are moving back in is because I tried to fuck our roommate and we cheated for over a year, tried to hide it for over a year. We actually don't even know the actual length of the cheating scandal. We just know how long the time period was between when it happened and when it finished conclusion and when they came forward with it in this material. I cheated on my girlfriend and then tried to lie to her about it through obfuscation and then direct lies until I just felt too guilty to hold it in anymore. So I told them. And when they had to move out after I forced them out, when they gave me the choice to throw the girl on the street, we then lost the apartment because I'm broke and I didn't have enough money to keep living. So we gotta come move in back indoors. Might as well turn the fuck around at the door like an asymptote. Just boing, flip the right fuck back around. Because I think it's more evil to have to tell that to your parent and to them to have to learn that they failed you as a parent. No matter how much love they tried to shower on you, affection they tried to give onto you, support and guidance they tried to give onto you, that open-faced admittal that you did that, your mom's a better person than me.
Though my girlfriend insists that it isn't. In that video, I talked about escaping the harsh reality of losing our home by starting a Minecraft world with my girlfriend. What I failed to mention to you all was that all of this, the affair, was the other thing that her and I were trying to dissociate away from thinking about. I hated myself. In some small way, I'm sure my girlfriend hated me too, though she would never say it.
Ain't that fucked up, chat? Ain't that fucked up? I cheated on my girlfriend and her and I played Minecraft to disassociate from it. The answer every time, apparently, is literally take my trauma and turn it into content. Unironically, literally.
Bored on our own.
I need a screen cap of the thing that they were holding up.
Lost
One
the
second.
apartment and had to move. So my girlfriend insists that it isn't. In that video, I talked about escaping the harsh reality of losing our home by starting a Minecraft world with my girlfriend. What I failed to mention to you all was that all of this, the affair, was the other thing that her and I were trying to dissociate away from thinking about. I hated...
Thank you, Jessica Girl. I also dislike Leadhead. I also dislike Leadhead. Oh no. Stale in the cookie, but fresh in the cream. Imagine saying as a part of content chat, I cheated on my girlfriend/wife.
God damn it. Imagine if you could, chat, unironically being a content creator that says, I cheated on my girlfriend / wife and then made a multiplayer sandbox video game world to cope about it. Imagine saying that for work and holding it up to the camera. Look at this photograph. Every time I look at this, it makes me come. Imagine doing that every single time. Imagine doing that once, even on a live stream, and not immediately deleting all evidence of that having existed. And then you put a little bit of soft notes behind it. You know, a little bit of Minecraft music. Maybe get the sounds of the as you are thrusting inside them every time you mention the affair. You know, really pump up that audio quality. Make me feel like I'm watching The Boys.
Hated myself. In some small way, I'm sure my girlfriend hated me too, though she would never say it. But the two of us didn't hate Minecraft. As much as we tried to just forget about it and move on, it wouldn't be possible. Around the time we moved out, I had internalized that there was only one way for me to handle this if I ever wanted my girlfriend to feel safe and comfortable around me again. I decided that I had to commit fully to this. Penance would need to become the focal point of my existence.
What a take. There you go. I made a Minecraft server. I got cheated on my girlfriend and I made a Minecraft server for us to cope about it. And literally is the title of a slice of life anime that could have been made by any of the upcoming studios. But then, the only way that I could do penance to be forgiven for cheating on her was to socially flog and fillet myself on the internet for everyone to see, with a big list of all the sins I had ever done, so that other people could hate me in depth as best as I possibly could be. I think there's like 50 billion things you could have done differently to show penance. I had to make cheating into content, bro. It was the only way, bro. I have to tell everyone about the fat, thick loads I was dropping on the mistress when they asked me about it. It's the only thing I have to do. Miss Piggy, take your titties out in front of Sam. AM to the PM, double diddle and AM. Ah, I'm gonna come. I'm gonna come. Ah!
I would need to spend months and months and months letting any decent mood I managed to get myself into be instantly shattered by my girlfriend asking me another question about what happened or reminding me that she thought she'd never be able to trust me again. I felt like I needed to just swallow my pride and say over and over and over again, you have every right to hate me. You'd be in the right to break up with me. I'm sure our friends would be okay with you living with them. All while her leaving me and moving in with those three, particularly Ashley, was my greatest fear. That was something that I genuinely didn't know if I would survive or not. But in my mind, I had to say things like that to her for practically months, every single day, because, well, it was true. She would be in the right to leave me. And I hated the idea of her staying with me just because she had nowhere else to go. I hated the idea of her staying with me just because she had nowhere else to go. Therein lies a way of thinking that I didn't realize at the time was the backbone of so much of what I had done wrong. I disregarded her personal agency. I was convinced that the only reason she would ever decide to stay with me was because I must have manipulated her in some way without realizing it. I felt bad for her because she was in love with me, a duplicitous whore.
Aw, you felt bad about doing things that broke people's hearts. Thank you, Dusty Girl. Aw, you felt bad about how you cheated on your partner and you had to live with the guilt. Aw. Aw. Aw.
In fact, it was a similar removal of agency that kind of led to the affair in the first place.
One more time for the people at home.
For her because she was in love with me, a duplicitous whore. In fact, it was a similar removal of agency that kind of led to the affair in the first place.
And again?
Had for her because she was in love with me, a duplicitous whore. In fact, it was a similar removal of agency that kind of led to the affair in the first place.
And one more
Had for
time.
her because she was in love with me, a duplicitous whore. In fact, it was a similar removal of agency that kind of led to the affair in the first place.
And one more again, just for mustard in the back with Kendrick Lamar.
Bad for her because she was in love with me, a duplicitous whore. In fact, it was a similar removal of agency that kind of led to the affair in the first place.
Unironically, literally, without a joke, not even memeing, not even looking for a way to not tear my fucking teeth out, by the root, at 10:55, with somewhat of a straight face.
Bad for her because she was in love with me, a duplicitous whore. In fact, it was a similar removal of agency that kind of led to the affair in the first place.
Leadhead claims that the removal of agency is what made them cheat on her. So literally, well, not literally, figuratively. I'm going to paraphrase in my own words. I did a heckin' Hitler particle by removing her agency. Technically, I did a Chudism. I did a heckin' Chudism by removing her agency. That same feeling is what made me cheat on her in the first place. Here's a question. Why is it that she didn't cheat on you? Is it because she's stronger than you are when it comes to relationships? Because despite the fact that you're using words to make it sound as though there is any higher thought that went into the discussion other than I'm horny, they're there, unga bunga until come. I am remiss to know that we will never hear the opinion of both the cheater that he was engaged with, as well as the opinion of the then girlfriend, I'm assuming now fiance. Again, assumptively. I have not watched all this content. We are learning in real time, because we have to learn from the end backwards.
Part of the way that my girlfriend's brain works is that she has these really huge upswings and downswings where she's incredibly depressed or incredibly optimistic. She would tell you as much herself. They can happen multiple times a day or last months. She was in one of her longest downswings since I've known her when the affair started, and let me tell you what was going through my head at the time. Every day she's just so down and depressed, and no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't get her out of it. I started to feel like our relationship was hopeless. Like, no matter how much I loved her, it was nothing that I said mattered anymore. And that's why I say that I never stopped loving her, even during the affair. All I wanted was to feel like I could fix her depression, but it felt like nothing I did would ever be able to do that. That all stems from the fact that having genuine respect for someone's agency was such a foreign concept to me back then. And then Ashley comes along and she's hanging on my every word. The things I do had a huge impact on how Ashley felt, and so after I'd practically given up on improving my girlfriend's mood, I started to take comfort in the person who I felt like I could have an impact on. And one thing led to another. There were, of course...
They listened to me. They listened to me talk about my trains and my deep autisms. And then they sucked my dick! That might be a little bit too big. Yeah, that might be a little bit too big. We are now 1/5 of the way through the video. And we now learn at 12:19.
Stale in the cookie, but fresh in the cream.
Nah, girlfriend was into the Thinny Veil fetish fam into account. Didn't want to upset their totally biological children by divorce. Thank you, Mega Lag. We learn at 12:19, my girlfriend is really manic. She's so up and so down that everything felt pointless because I couldn't pull her out of her manic depression. I got interested into the one person that I could have an effect on. I can't spell. I was meaning to type effect, but somehow I typed affection. And a effect erection. My girlfriend is really manic. She's so up and down that everything felt pointless because I couldn't pull her out of her manic episode. I got interested into the one person that I could have an effect on, and then one thing led to another. Here's an important question, and I'm certain that more than likely all the talking point answers that I would ever receive an answer on this is going to be the result of, the shortest results a person could give about shit, right? Why didn't you take your girl to a hospital? Why didn't you get her meds? If she has meds, why didn't you get them refilled? Do you talk to a therapist? If yes, why didn't you go to your therapist about this and how it made you feel? And talk about the shadow work necessary with how to be able to work on your partner to help support her through her problems and her mental anguishes. If no, why aren't you going to a therapist to talk about the shadow work that goes into the mental handiwork that needs to be done with the things that you gotta do and your... there are multiple questions that are the first immediate choice that I would do rather than, man, I just couldn't be able to pull Star out of her depression. Like, she just complains and whines so much. So then I started fucking people. No one should ever say that there is no such thing as emotional labor. Obviously, there is such a thing as emotional labor, because this is exactly the thing. How did that hair get there? This is exactly the thing that people talk about when they talk about someone not doing the emotional labor. Right? This is what it looks like right here. Right here. This is the biggest thing that I think is the necessary importance that we have to, like, hone in on and focus on. So, let's play a little game, chat. 1s and 2s in the chat. 1 in the chat if when your immediate partners, friends, family members, loved ones, or personal relationships, whether through business, work, or pleasure, whether you have sex with them, you know them for business, or there's just a great person to be around that you are friends with or friendly with, that if the first thing you would do, if you couldn't pull them out of a depressive funk, is to basically the opposite of would be the healthiest thing to do, 1 in the chat. If you would instead do the healthy thing, 2 in the chat. I want to see something. Because I believe it is very easy to think, man, how do I help my partner? How am I supposed to help them? Guys, you can't judge me.
Cast not differ stone. You need to understand I did not goon out of disbasements and dislikement. I was struggling. I was depressed. I was depressed because this bitch was depressed. Can you truly say that you do not understand me and how I was in need of a nut and there was a woman to crack it?
Because I think there's a certain level of stupidity. I'm not saying 1s and 2s in the chat. I think there's a certain level of inherent emotional infertility that requires you to be able to even bring to birth the abortion of a thought that I have to cheat on my wife / girlfriend / boyfriend in order to help myself through a relationship. Because there are multiple things that you could have done before fucking, okay? Like, you could have talked about it. You could have done some drugs about it. You could have given her some drugs about it. You could have gotten her actual medicinal drugs about it. You could have ate your emotions. You could have played some video games. You know, the same thing you could have done before you cheated on her. The same way that you chose to then try to disassociate from cheating on her by playing Minecraft, you could have played Minecraft about it. There are a serious drabs of things you could have fucking done in any relationship that did not involve you doing this. There are myriads upon myriads upon myriads of choices that you could have made. And you chose not only I'm going to cheat on them, but you chose I'm going to cheat on them. I'm going to lie to them for nearly a year. I'm going to throw out the hussy. And then I'm going to make money off of us playing video games online and off of me talking about it online. I'm going to involve our friends and our family as some type of retributive cope to, what's the word? Self-flagellate myself before the public. Because nowhere in this admittance, so far that we know of, have I once heard you say, I was asked by her to do this. So you're still inherently being selfish, first off. Well, actually, technically, that's second off. First off, you're still fucking manipulative. Because all this he and hawing and mealy mouth bullshit covers up the honest, blatant truth. That's why the summarization that I'm writing down here is written as it is, because the parts that are not relevant are the parts that would be inside of the open-closed brackets. You explicitly had no intention on telling the truth. I could probably just use the green screen for this now. You explicitly had no intention on not telling people that you cheated. I believe 100% if anything had worked out differently, you would have still cheated. And you would have then still told people about you cheating. Because somehow, you found the number one premier way to make all of this about you. Because realistically, an affair is not just about your emotions. It's your emotions, your partner's emotions, and the things you don't talk about. So, you didn't talk to your partner about your shit. You didn't talk to them about how the depression was making you feel. Now, you might think, Carl, what you're saying is that you're that selfish. How could you try to shame them for feeling depressed? That's not what I said. You didn't talk to your partner about the effect of how they cope with their depression affects you. And concern them towards some type of management system that they can use to achieve the cope for their depression. It ain't hard. It is as simple as, baby, when you are depressed and down and you beat down on yourself and you will not let me help you in any way, shape, or form concerning us working together with your problems, when you prevent me from helping you in any small way possible or any large way possible with any throwaway grand gesture, you make me feel like we're supposed to be tortured by your actions or lack thereof. And you think that I'm judging you for how you cope, when all I want you to know at the end of the day is that I love and support you, and that I want you to reach out to me and let me know how I can help you, rather than me just stand here with my hands bound. Okay? That's the honest way that it's done. That's how you do the shadow work on this problem. Because there is no way that you're going to tell me your first choice was I cheat on my girlfriend / wife. There's no world. I refuse to believe. I refuse to believe that that was the methodology that it went through. Okay? Because there's no way that you just slip, fell, and landed in her vagina. Okay? You didn't slip, fall, and she landed on your dick. You did not fall in, she placed it in. With a lick on her hand and then rubbing the top. Okay? I'm not trying to be vulgar, I'm just being serious. This was coercion. You were trying to find a justification and an excuse to make it so that every time you thrust it inside them, or whoever was doing the thrusting, y'all got strap-ons, y'all be fine. You were trying to come up with an excuse so that every single time you cheated, you didn't have to think about it because you were running away from your problem. Oh, the reason why I'm cheating on you is because, well, see, I just can't constantly be there for you emotionally and you push me away. At that point, nigga leave. Nigga leave. Just go. Leave. If you agree with me, 1 to the chat. If you disagree with me, 2 to the chat. I'm trying to see something. If it is so hard for you to do the emotional labor necessary to support your loved one, to the point that you feel your only decision is to emotionally damage them in a way that you should almost never fucking recover from, just go! Because this is the type of emotional cheating that people justify all the fucking time whenever you see shit on Red Pill TikTok, Red Pill YouTube, Red Pill talking points in general, left-wing Red Pill talking points in general. Now, you're transgender, but we're going to try and give you the benefit of the doubt and treat you like a woman. This is some woman bullshit. The reason I cheated on you is because I didn't feel good about our relationship. Is what you're saying when you say I cheated on you because I couldn't be able to bring you out of emotional defective funk. Now I hear say, I believe in a time period where the goth girlfriend or the alternative lifestyle individual was supposed to be the person who drags the e-boy and the e-girl out of their depressive funk by fucking the shit out of them constantly and supporting them with affection, care, and love. Somehow, you failed to do both jobs. Both of them. You failed at both of them. And then you turned around and did what an OnlyFans girl would do. You made your failure into a product. And worse, you made it into a brand. And you want me to believe that now, in context to everything else that you're telling us, and have told us in your material, that this is you being honest. No. That is the mental manipulation of an individual who is not honest, period. Where everything to them, writ large and small, has a excuse that starts with someone else and not them. I should know. I should have deep personal experience with this kind of problem. However, I have never done what you have admitted to doing. You still ain't getting the shit out of me, because I ain't finna stay at home this broadcast, but I would have never done this. Can't bring myself to do it. I'd rather break my neck. I would rather end my life on the spot than fall off my horse in front of her. That is a euphemism. The horse is not horsecock. My name is not Ian Kaczynski. This is not Vosh. I would rather die than break her heart that way. So, along with the emotional manipulation of your vocal fry, along with how you're choosing to act so evocative about the information, you cannot expect me to believe this course of words that you've said here is anything less than a hustle. Now, I can be impressed by how soulless you are. The same way that Lacey's pointed out. Like, the hustle here, like, the breakdown of how manic she is, justifies every thrust and stroke you probably did. Bro, that's crazy work. That is crazy work. You still cheated on your girlfriend, though. You're still evil, though. This is like a person who joins a superhero team, or in a fucking anime joins the hero team, but actually they're not reformed. They're just on the hero's payroll. You know what I'm saying? You're not a changed person. You're still the same person. It's just that you don't have the stronger force of the will than the protagonist. And so every time you want to go out being a murder hobo, the only reason that you don't murder hobo is because the hero says that you can't. But when they come into a situation where murder is the only option, you're the person that will immediately become the person you said that you no longer were. Because unlike people who have to lock it away in the closet, no, the gun is always on your hip. It was never peace bonded. That shit was ready to blow. One is always in the chamber. Moving forward.
Other factors like my problematic libido and my whole what they don't know won't hurt them philosophy that I talked about earlier, but
Amau. What did I just tell you? I had to fuck, I had to come on her. You have to understand, she was just so sad all the time. Never mind my cock is raring to go 24-7. Eye roll. It's not even worth writing down.
feeling like nothing I did could fix the issues we were having was one of the roots of the whole thing. At least, that's how I felt at the time. The thing is, just like how I felt I must have manipulated my girlfriend in some way for her to stay with me, just as I felt she was a victim of her love for me, this was just me removing her agency in a different way. It was stupid and even controlling of me to feel like, as her girlfriend, it's my job to cure her depression. Like, anytime she's in a bad mood, it's my job to fix it. I can be there for her, but I can't control her emotions, and I shouldn't try to. That is controlling and manipulative. Well,
I'm about to tell you a secret. I want to tell you a secret. That's what men do. Congratulations. You now know what it feels like to be a man. My foot was under the stand. Congratulations. This is what men do. My woman is sad. I'm going to cheer her up. My woman is happy. I want to celebrate her. My woman is angry at me. I have to bear the weather of emotions. That's what it means to be a man. That's what it means to be a man. And you know what the shitty part is? It's a thankless job. You know why? It's a dirty job, but someone's gotta screw it. And therefore, you are responsible for that emotional maturity. Claiming that nothing you did felt like you could fix her was the root of how you ruined her. This was me removing her agency. What the fuck do you mean? No. It was your responsibility to try to do something and not nothing. Feeling that you had no agency because my woman is in distress and I don't know how to protect her, that is a masculine urge to protect. This is probably the closest you will ever come to understanding what it's like to be male. Socially. There are a bunch of shit you're never going to really understand. Because you want to be a woman. You're transgender, so you started as a man, you became a woman. Even as a man, you failed to be a man. But you understood the requirements of what it was to be a man. So you were too weak to deal with the masculine urge to protect your partner and be loving and trusting to them. And you think that it's still her fault on you instead of being your fault for not being strong enough. Because you're blaming her for the cheating. But hey, what do I know? I'm just some black nigga on the internet that's yapping.
at the time, I thought that trying to control her emotions and talk her out of being depressed was more important than just being there for her. In practical terms, I thought I could just buy her enough treats and gifts and explain to her in clear terms why everything was going to be okay and that she would just snap out of depression.
Pause. That was also a stupid way to think about it. Also not to... Well, I'll write that one down. Because no, you cannot buy enough toys and treats to make her feel better so that she forgets her depression. You cannot buy her gifts and just make her happy using emotional bribes. And you can also not be able to just make her happy by just being there for her in the same room. Because that is not the same thing as actually doing the shadow work. You have to meet her emotional needs without complaining. And you have to hold space for it. So that when she sees what you've done for her, I can't spell, she sees what you have done for her by holding space and doing the necessary shadow work, she then gets the ability to pay back this effort with reciprocity, and then return the emotional bid in action by paying it forward in the relationship. Because it is a weight, you carry it on your back, then she carries it on her back. And unfortunately, in order to carry it on your back, you still have to be strong enough to be able to bear the weight and the load in the first place. But it's not on you, it's on us. You're in a relationship, not a booty call, not friends with benefits, not as trans member in a transy house, living together, gooning together, voguing together. No, this is a relationship between a person and another person. You could say a man with a woman, you could say a woman with a man, you could say a man with a man, a man with a man. You are together. There is no I, there is no you, there is no me, there is us. You both have to work together in order to carry this weight. There's a lot that will happen emotionally. Namely, they will feel sad that, oh my God, look at all this effort that they're putting into our relationship. How can I ever be able to pay them back for this? Should I give them money? No, you don't need to give them money. It doesn't require a psychological degree. It doesn't even require a fucking Psych 101 course. You do what feels natural. So every single time, Star has looked at me with a cross look and then sighed when I said, you don't have to ask. You didn't have to say thank you. It came with the penis. That was me telling her, no, baby, you don't need to do a damn thing. I'm already going to do it because I love you. I want us to succeed and work together. So, when I see dishes that are undone, I'm going to do them. Not because, ugh, why can't you clean up this house? It's living like a pigsty. It makes me look filthy. No. I'm not busy. I came to spend time with you. There are dishes in the sink. I saw dishes. I do them. It was not so that I could then wait to say, hey, you know, I did the dishes today. What's you say that daddy gets a taste of them lips, girl? No! You do it because it needs to be done! Well, actually, it's three things. First, you do it because it needs to be done. Two, you do it because you love them and you want to support them, and this is just one of many ways which you carry the weight of that burden. And three, you do it because there are no maids in this house. This is not about dishes. There are no maids in this house. No matter what the emotional labor is, when someone needs you to do the emotional labor, you do not argue with them, you do it. If you cannot do it, get out of the situation. This is not a joke. This is not a meme. I have not been joking for the past few seconds of this rant. Depression is a condition, but it is not a barrier and an obstacle. By that I mean, like a status effect in a video game, being depressed is not an excuse to not do the work, because the work waits. Now, we're talking about order of magnitudes here, right? You need to eat, piss, shit, and live and breathe. You don't need to go on the internet and make content about things that may not need to be heard by an audience. If you feel that you need to do some type of labor, some type of self-flagellation in order to feel that you have earned back her trust, and she didn't tell you that you needed to do that. She did not say, baby, what will it take you to understand that I'm serious? Everything that follows after that is because you wanted to do it. And that's why I'm saying it's selfish. Because, much like love, the necessary shadow work of a relationship is unforgiving and uncaring. You're 100% right, struggler. It doesn't care if you're tired. It doesn't care if you're broken. It doesn't care if you're defeated. It doesn't care if this was the best day of your life or the worst day of your life. It doesn't care what other people's opinions about what needs to be done is to be done. The work waits. It is a stone upon which you etch the tapestry that is your life. And the marble doesn't get shaped. The clay doesn't get rocked and worked and wedged. The painting doesn't get painted until you pick up the fucking tools and you do it. If you do it wrong and you get lazy, then what's going to turn out will be a gross catastrophe. If you do the work the right way, and you do it because the work told you this is how it wants to be done, this is the most key important part to the caveat. If you do the work right, and you'll know that you're doing the work right, because every single step along the way in doing it will be effortless. When you do the work, and you do it right, and you get into the flow state of doing it, especially when we're talking about working on a relationship and working on emotions. When you get into the relationship, and you get into the emotions, and you try to do right, it's going to feel right. At first, especially if you've never done it before, it'll feel wrong. And the reason why is because you are learning how to do it the correct way. So imagine you have been doing something the literal wrong way for years. Taking out the trash, for example. Imagine there is an actual heliocentristic correct way to take out the trash. And when you learn from the divine effort of the universe of the way that best works to take out the trash in this hypothetical, you say to yourself, well, that's stupid. I'm going to keep doing it my way. But every single time you do it your way, something happens. You take it out the trash can, you try to do your way, oh, bag ripped open. Now I got to clean all the shit back up and do it back again. You try to do a flip, oh, bag ripped open. Got to take it, all the trash, put it back in the bag, get the shit, put it back in the bag, do it again. Over, and over again. Like any skill in your life. Over and over again until you get it right, the way the work tells you need it done. Now, in terms of an emotional relationship, let's go to the future where your girlfriend told you need to self-flagellate yourself. If your girlfriend actually told you, baby, in order for me to trust you again, you need to embarrass yourself on your YouTube channel. No, I don't want you to put together a video and edit the video and specifically give it to me as a gift. No, your gift to me to prove that you are good for me is that you will embarrass yourself and take a monetary hit. So, for anybody who's familiar, this is the pixie strategy. This is the sex epstiny pixie strategy to get revenge on Steven. You have to embarrass yourself in front of a live studio audience and also the VOD studio audience until I will forgive you. You need to lose a specific amount of trust, a specific amount of content strategy, a specific amount of crossover, a specific amount of money for me to trust you again. That would have also been the wrong way to do this. Because you see, half the work of shadow work is that what you do quiet has to be done quiet. What you do loud has to be done loud. This lesson has been taken wrong too many times in existence for how long this effort has been necessary for shadow work. Because people have been doing it wrong. That's why we now have people talking about the dark triad and trying to use dark triad traits to try to get past the hard work of doing shadow work. You cheated on her in private. You held on to this information for nearly a year. So, what you need to do in your shadow work to actually feel like you will have earned your right to be with her is 1, you don't get to dictate when the healing starts and stops. It starts when they say it starts and stops. That's number one. Number two, you cheated on her in private. So why the fuck are you telling everybody on the internet? I don't need to know. I shouldn't know so that I can be able to make a thumbnail mocking you about it. You cheated on her in private, so it stays in private. So just like how the other day, the video from that music artist, the book woman from TikTok, when she tried to make their affair public and shape the narrative to try and control him through litigation to not tell his side of the story, and we would then come to find out that not only was it an affair, but it was an affair explicitly done by choice. All of her hooing and hawing and crying and whining. I didn't mean to do this to you. I can't believe that that's what I did. Bitch, you still did it. And what did she do before she did that, chat? She tried to vague post about it. Then she tried to spill the tea. And what did they end up doing? She hurt every single other person who was a victim of circumstance that was supposed to be someone who was reflective of the position she said she was in. She did all that extra work, playing around on the bed, saying, hey guys, this is how I was when he was dogging the shit out of me, and this is how he was on top of me as he was jerking it out. Did all that energy, and then still had to apologize for how she fucked up in the first place. Then got embarrassed when the other woman came in and told the actual side of the story that she was trying to hide. All that is the consequence of you coming out of your way to effectively tell other people that this is the way that it should have been done, when that is not the way it should have been done. My personal opinion in this situation, how this should have been handled, since you're inherently duplicitous and incapable of telling the truth, is that me, personally, if I was her, the first step is that your penance never ends. Because, you see, you already broke faith and trust in the relationship, so I can't trust you inherently. Now, I've been cheated on before. And boy, does it suck. Because I didn't understand why it was happening to me. I literally couldn't understand. I didn't know. I did literally everything I had been taught by society, women and men in my life that I should do. And it still happened. However, the first thing that I learned, which is why it's the first thing that would happen there, is that there was nothing necessarily wrong with me, but that doesn't mean that there wasn't things that I couldn't do better and work on, for one. So the first thing that I would have done was I would have made you basically swear yourself to secrecy. And that if anybody ever finds out that you cheated, I leave. And you will never hear or see from me again. Period. You don't get to tell the story, I get to tell the story. You don't get to give an opinion about what you did, your opinion is moot. Because whose opinion matters more, yours or mine? I'm the one you cheated on, so my opinion matters more. Because if my opinion didn't matter to you when you were doing the action, my opinion matters more in talking about it, so that when everybody hears the details that I choose to focus on or I choose to look into, that's what people are going to remember. They're not going to remember how you cheated, they're going to remember how you made me feel. Bars. Thirdly, as we go about this recouping of the relationship, and we attempt to try to find the middle ground where the both of us have to meet each other together in order to figure out how we're going to continue forward past your actions, you have to know that the caveat in the back of your mind is in fact going to be every time that I bring it up or I ask questions about what you did, that you have to actually deal with your emotions with that. And yes, you will have to take some brutalization, but it's not so much to the degree in which Leadhead said, where, oh, I have to fucking feel like this, because you might notice a parallel here. Come back real quick. You'll notice a parallel between what she's saying here at 1308, and you'll also notice a comparison here about what they said about their mom. We remember what they said about their mother, right? This, right here, everything that they said in this section about, is this what it feels like to be a mom? This is the exact same shit that they're saying down here at 1308. They see the inherent responsibility of a relationship as a burden and not as a gift to treasure. So the third... Ow, my tail. So the third thing that would end up happening, if I were her and I was supposed to be taking you back in a relationship, is that you would have to live in fear that at any time, in any quiet moment, things will fall out from underneath you. Which is also part of the reason why, number one, you would have to be sworn to silence. Because you do not deserve to have the power in the relationship anymore. The social dynamic upon which your money flows is based on how you choose to disseminate things. So, instead, power and control will be taken away from you. And now you have to live in fear of the sword of Damocles hanging over your head for the rest of your content and career online. That the moment that I decide I don't like the way, like I don't like your fucking tone, I remind people of your behavior. And I don't do so as a tell-all, no. I make them have to break it down and show examples of exactly how he did it. Testimonials. Make a whole movie about it. And it will be released upon which I have decided you are no longer deserving of the affection. That would be the way to go about it. And the reason why is because you see relationships, and I'm not just talking about emotional, romantic, sexual relationships. You see bonds, family, friendship, responsibilities as chains and whips, no kink, to hold you responsible for your personal decisions and how uncomfortable and how incongruent they are. And rather than bearing the weight just as yourself, you would rather kvetch and disrespect the bond you're supposed to be capable of understanding, as those are the same bonds you have to use to relate back to any amount of polite societal civility we have to use for other people. In other words, TLDR for all the yapping I've been doing, Leadhead is admitting at this point that they are a sociopath. This is how a sociopath thinks. Fuck lip service. Fuck thinking you're Dexter Morgan. You're cooked. You're Ted Bundy. You're John Wayne Gacy. You can never have a relationship because you will never respect people because you see them as tools. You see them as wombs. Wombs for you to claim. For you to stick your meat into and get yourself off. They're toys. Men and women are toys to you. And that's sad. I'll be right back. You'd think it'd be just as bad to learn exactly the details behind why actually she cheated on her girlfriend. And no, Megalag was correct. The more you fucking learn and the harder you think about it, the more disgusting and repugnant this shit becomes. Let us continue forward. With the knowledge that Leadhead sees their partner and all romantic involvement as literally a sex plug. An owner hole, if you will. A physical, emotional owner hole. That if you don't get them off or do something for them, you don't have any use to them whatsoever.
And I thought that trying to do that would be the affirmative action that a good girlfriend would take, when really all a good girlfriend would do in that situation was hug her and tell her that she'd always be there for her. That was one of the fallacies that led to the affair, and now, months later, I was making the same mistake again, feeling like the only way I could rationalize her decision to stay with me was by thinking of her as a victim of her love for me. Like, staying with me wasn't even a decision that she chose to make. Well, on one particularly bad night, I went to talk to an adult who's always been a super prominent figure in my life, and I told them about everything. That night, and I may have misunderstood him, but that...
So, another person has now entered into the foray. 1412. I went to an adult figure. I can only assume that it's a man.
That night, he seemed to imply that...
It is a man. So, question number 3. How do other people react to information about you failing to be a good role model or having failed to pick up the lessons they tried to teach you in your adult life? And yes, Ace, exactly, not their dad. They'll be damned. They will talk shit about their mom. They will cheat on their fucking partners. They will choose you if you live with them as a roommate, as a sectional fucking mistress or master to have a fucking affair with. But God be damned if she ever go to her father about any problems that they're having in their life.
He had cheated on his wife back when I was a kid. Instantly, I could pinpoint when this must have happened. He had work that took him far enough away that he had to get a hotel every weekend for a little bit, and he had run into a lot of money, so he was just showering his entire family in gifts every single time he got home from these weekend trips. If I understood right, and he did in fact have an affair, then that has to be when it happened. They even took a great big trip to Amsterdam shortly after. The reason that I bring it up is because I have always considered the wife in that marriage to be a very repressed woman and the husband to be a very pussy-whipped man. No matter how unreasonable she was being, he would always defend her. No matter how hard he tries to do these great big gestures for their anniversaries or for Valentine's Day or whatever, she would always be passive-aggressive about it. I never understood what the problem was. Maybe she was just the worst. To be honest, that was always my assumption of her, but learning that he had had an affair, suddenly it all made sense. He got caught, or broke down and told her like I did, and 18 years later, he was still removing her agency and her decision to stay with him. He probably felt like their kids were stopping her from leaving him. He probably still feels that way now. Well, as it turns out, 18 years of self-flagellation didn't get her to forgive him, and it didn't get her to forget.
And what does that tell you, Leadhead? That Carl is right? Yeah. Yeah, it does. When you do this kind of shit, there is no forgiveness. There is only a watching and a waiting, because the true test of your understanding is changed behavior, where you're no longer thinking about, will this make them forgive me? Will this make them forgive me? Will this make them... No! Get on your knees and grease their feet eternally. And not just through affection and through objects, because money can't buy you love at that point. Yeah. But no, unfortunately. Because you know what the sad fact about that, Chad, is that the lesson that Leadhead should come away from that with is not, I should have been loyal and I should try to do better than my family friend did. The lesson that Leadhead came away with it was, man, your wife seems like a bitch, but actually it's because you're a piece of shit. They did not take away the lesson that they needed to learn about this. They did not take away the lesson that they needed to know. No. All this did was already confirm the precognitive bias and allow them to continue to self-flagellate themselves about the thing that they don't even have the right to be upset and sad about, since they were not the person who was most exigently affected by the circumstances of their choices. Agency this, agency that. But you can't use the agency of your own goddamn mind to pull yourself out of your own self-flagellating hole.
God, even if she did decide to stay with me for that long, 18 years, our relationship turning out like theirs became just my new biggest fear. I spent a lot of time in my life watching him try so hard to make her happy, all while never being supportive enough when she was sad. I saw so many times how she would treat him like shit, and he would let it happen because he thought that he lost the right to ever defend himself to her again when he cheated. One thing was clear. These two never really talked about it.
So, something that is important of note, we will pretend like I did not forget to unmute myself. Something that is important of note, as we are at 16:14 on the video, is that they claim, as they just said, replay the section for you to hear it,
Watching him try so hard to make her happy, all while never being supportive enough when she was sad.
this is an inaccurate view of how to look at how to go about reconciliation after cheating with someone. Specifically, from the position of the cheated. Yes, you do have to live with 1 foot in and 1 foot out, potentially ready to get a shitstorm thrown at you perpetually. However, you, as the cheater, should never have your past actions thrown in your face in such a way where when you're making the legitimate steps and the legitimate need and focus, you should never have your actions minimized in such a way where when you have actually learned the lesson, that you are constantly denied the growth that is necessary for the relationship to begin anew. So, in that case example, I believe her name was Naomi Scott, in that case example of that woman cheating as the one who precipitated the affair, and then trying to control the information after it had come forward from them. If you did the work and you did it right, you get the ability to defend yourself. Then and only then. And the reason why is if they really want to forgive you, then they have to be willing to let it go eventually. But it does start with talking to them. So that part that they said is correct. But in order to actually go through with the healing steps and the healing process, you actually have to talk to them about it. And you have to be able to understand the reason why affection or understanding or trust is being withheld. So that when you start doing the work so often, that there is no longer the pretense of reward incentive on top of it. So imagine a punishment system. Your partner punishes you, no sex, until you do these things. At first, you're going to be doing them because you think that, oh, if I do these things, well, then I get to have the thing that I want. I get the physical copulation. Hell yeah, let's go. It trains you to think like a Pavlovian response. If I do X, I get Y. If I let her kick me in the balls, she gives me a kiss and fucks my brain out. Therefore, your action is performative. When you start doing it as a part of your character growth, you no longer need or require the case of a bell and a whistle to control your ability to engage in the action. So, when you stop doing it for the reward of copulation, and you start doing it because you need to do it, if they then continue to hold it against you and say, you know you're only doing this because you want to fuck me. You know you're only doing this because you want me to forget about that thing that you did last anniversary when you forgot my birthday. You're only doing it because this, and this, or any number of examples you can come up with. If they legitimately are trying to punish you further, after you have already internalized and incorporated the lesson into what you have done, then the situation is unhealthy. Now, in that circumstance, I don't know what the fuck they did or didn't do. But based on what you're telling us that he told you, they probably did not talk about it and do that. No. But you certainly didn't do that with your partner. So who are you to take their story and try to use it to say, look, guys, I might have done what I did, but look, here's somebody who did worse than me. You're still performative. Instead of bringing it onto yourself and saying, damn, I gotta get my shit right. Everybody can be weak, and I gotta learn to be strong. Message. Instead, it's, well, you see, look, I have a reason. Like, look, at least I'm not this guy. You're doing the equivalent of being the nerd in the classroom that is really embarrassed that he hasn't had sex with people. And so instead of actually dealing with or talking about the important part that's necessary to talk about, you actually decide to embarrass the girl who is quiet, doesn't make trouble, doesn't talk to anybody, and embarrassing her by saying that you and her fucked. That's cringy.
I saw so many times how she would treat him like shit, and he would let it happen because he thought that he lost the right to ever defend himself to her again when he cheated. One thing was clear. These two never really talked about it. The truth got out, and I guess they just did their best to bury it, probably for the sake of their kids. And to this day, 18 years later, it's never been resolved, and you can see that pain in every single interaction that they have. Well, Ashley was really conflicted. On one hand, she was dead set on keeping the rest of our secrets. After all, she'd get in trouble for it too, but on the other hand, she really hated lying to my girlfriend, and she was really hurt by me cutting her out of my life, and just furious with me to boot. Whatever it was that pushed her over the edge, one night she broke down and told my girlfriend the rest of the truth. All the things that I was too much of a coward to tell my girlfriend when I initially told her that there was an affair were out there now. Her pain and distrust in me had been completely reset. She found out that I'd still been lying to her, and like that old man I was talking about a minute ago, all of that self-flagellation I had done, all of that penance.
Notice how the family friend became that old man, by the way.
Was for naught. What little progress her and I had made was all erased. The time for self-flagellation was over between me and my girlfriend. It was time to really talk about this. Even though the whole truth was out there now, and I was relieved to know that I didn't have to keep any secrets from her anymore, if we didn't have an open conversation about how and why all of these things happened, we would end up just like that old dysfunctional couple that I was so afraid of becoming.
Still talking shit about the family friend.
So, to try and make things better, I wound up creating a whole document. I laid out the exact timeline of everything that happened. I told her exactly why everything happened, at least to the best of my ability, and what was going through my head at the time. I didn't waste time punctuating my explanations with "I'm sorry's" or "I hate myself" or "you should leave me's." To be honest, at this point all of that stuff would have just been patronizing. The time for apologizing was just long gone. I owed it to her to just be clear and direct. I needed to treat her intelligence with respect and trust her when she said it was her choice to stay with me and to try and trust me again. We laid it all out, and when there was a memory I was fuzzy on or didn't remember the exact timeline of things, we consulted Ashley's diary that she had given my girlfriend, which detailed every encounter between the two of us. Yeah, I threw up a couple times as we discussed all of this, but we got it all out there. And as selfish as it feels to say, it felt like the weight of the world had been lifted off of my shoulders. It's worth saying that my conversation with that sad old man wasn't the only reason that I switched from self-flagellation to trying to accept that my girlfriend chose to stay with me, and that she should be an equal part in her healing process. She'd been telling me that very thing the whole time, and I'd been trying to adjust to it, but that conversation I had with him was a major affirmation that that was the right decision. Over the next few weeks, I slowly stopped feeling like I was playing a survival horror game. It didn't feel like I was disarming a bomb every single time I interacted with her. If I remembered a new detail, I just told her. If I felt like something she said was unfair and I should defend myself, I told her.
That's about accurate, but how many times did you have to cycle the drain to do that? And then only to undo the work by then choosing to post all this shit to the internet publicly?
Even the fear in the back of my mind that sex with multiple partners was just a part of who I was. I told
Sex with multiple partners is a part of who I am. That's why I cheated on you. Take me back, baby. Said without ire or smarm or a joke.
her everything. Committing to that honesty as hard as I could, it actually took a lot of the pressure off of me. Yeah, the truth sucks ass, but it's the truth. Once I quit trying to circumvent it or dress it up, it felt like I couldn't really do any more wrong. I'd already done all the wrong. It wasn't pretty, but things finally started healing between us. You could feel a different, more healthy energy in the air. I stopped telling her over and over again that I hated myself and that she should hate me too, and I started respecting her intelligence and agency and saying, alright, maybe I'm the one who put us in this situation, but you want to solve it, and I want to solve it, so let's solve it together. None of this is to say that I instantly fixed everything in my behavior. Learning to go from what they don't know won't hurt them to I need to communicate every little thought I have because that's what it means to truly connect with someone was a bumpy ass road for me. There would be plenty of times I was sad about something or even wanted her to make another accommodation for me, and it felt like there's no way I can say that to her. And forcing myself to say it anyways was as painful as pulling teeth at first. It was so painful, in fact, that around New Year's I wrote a proper suicide note for the first and only time so far addressed to Ashley. And then I wrote a parallel life note addressed to my girlfriend. I'm happy to say that the life note is the only one that ever reached its recipient. Like I said, it was a really bumpy road, but I was committed to becoming this new type of person.
Ones and twos in the chat. If you find yourself in a position where you have to apologize for what you've done, would you rather suicide bait or would you rather solve the problem? 1 for suicide bait, 2 for solving the problem. Nigga, my God. You could not get the shit out of me, man. You honestly could not get the shit out of me. There's no fucking way, man. There's no fucking way.
And this is where the story finally starts getting happy.
We're changing menus again. That is the ending song for JoJo's Part 1 and 2. The name escapes me at this current moment.
See, there was one question that neither of us really had an answer to at the time. Several of the times that Ashley and I had hooked up, I was thinking to myself, God, I don't want this. But I couldn't stop myself. This is where the whole, I know you're puppy-brained, but you still know right from wrong thing came into play. I mentioned it in my Puppy Girl Psychoanalysis video. See, there's this need for affirmation that I've always used my sexual submissiveness to attain. That's initially why I got into doing sex work online. Discussing the affair and other situations from before me and her even knew each other, it was really clear that I had a super tough time saying no to people that I cared about. The question that neither of us could really answer was, why do I put myself in situations where I have to say no in the first place? Well, the answer is simpler than you might be thinking. It isn't some big complex that requires an entire video about the nature of puppy girls to analyze. The simple fact is that I've got an incredibly hyperactive libido. I really like flirting with people, I really like having sex with people, and the fact that I so desperately seek affirmation through my sexuality and my obedience was the dog bone shaped bridge that connected the flirting to the having sex, which caused so many problems. As my girlfriend puts it, sex is one of the main things that I take comfort in, and as I put it, sex is how I affirm that the people in my life actually like me. It isn't always healthy for my self-esteem, but sex is a core part of who I am. Well, earlier I said something about how one of the hardest parts of this whole open and honest communication thing was when I had to tell her that there was another accommodation that I wanted. Well, in no discussion we've ever had was that difficulty made clearer than when I brought forward the idea of us having an open relationship. I had always thought of it as nothing but a compromise that she would be making for me, but later it became clear to me that this was something that she had been interested in trying out too. She'd actually brought up the idea beforehand, but I shrugged it off every time because it felt like it would just be this massive compromise on her end, and she would never actually be happy with it. More of me removing her agency.
So, now we've arrived at the point that Megalag was trying to call out earlier. Great intuition, by the way. But I said, put it off. We're going to come to it when it comes up. I'm writing this down as I have a need for sexual dependency for being loose. I like having sex constantly through my hyperactive botivism. That's why I needed my accommodation for our relationship to have an open relationship to work. No, Leadhead. No, you did not need to commit yourself to Arnold Schwarzeneggerism in order for you to do it. You did not need horny nigga. You did not need Arnold horny nigga to break into your house, and instead of going to the gym and pumping iron, you break into people's houses at night, you wear the maid outfit and a necklace, you go ooh woo, and you desperately ram your cock into everything, excuse me, princess wand, into everything, to get them to tell you in a desperate pleading voice, do you love me? Do you love me? Do you love me? Do you love me? I am pretty sure you didn't need to do it. You just have sexual degeneracy. I'm not saying you need to cure it. I'm saying you didn't need to tell me about that on tape. That information has now been injected into my brain, and it will live in the forefront of my mind, and no amount of video games, drinking, and rough fun will undo it. We're all traumatized. It is at this moment of the stream I hate to remind you that this has been brought to you by Carl and Company. If you want to show your appreciation for this brain damage that's been done to us by horror and hellfire, show your appreciation today. Support your niggardry. Or you hate black people. That is a joke. Anyways, like, subscribe, algorithmic promoted things. You did not need to tell us about your sexual degeneracy, and no, your sexual degeneracy is not an excuse for you to cheat.
This time, though, we had a great, big, honest, and open discussion about it. I've spent my entire life surrounded by casual sex. It's just the lifestyle that I grew up in. From when I was like 15 onward, it was just a simple fact that sometimes you hook up with
15 years old having sex underage, 15 years old having sex underage, 15 year olds having sex underage. Groomed. Whatever the fuck is happening in the government.
Stale in the cookie. But
Whatever is happening in the government, bro, whatever is happening, in order for this to be a thing that it just comes flowing out of you, just rushing out of you, like a sweet bottom begging for cream. You got to stop! Stop it now! Ah! Thank you, Megalag. Ah! Because I'm pretty sure any person who consumed that, they're just gonna go right past that part. The allegations are not allegations. They are convictions. Tried, tested, not acquitted. It all goes back to a broken family. But unfortunately, no, it's not mom and dad's fault. It's Leadhead's fault. So Leadhead, when you were having sex at 15 years old, when you claimed you were surrounded by degeneracy, did you tell your mom and your dad that you had a sexual dysfunction? That you had sex underage? Did you tell your mom and dad and loud and proud say, I'm a little slut on the internet? I love to be a slut out in public? Sucking cock is how I feel like I am alive? Did you tell them that? Maybe we could have helped you before you got here. And unfortunately, because you decided this is the way you tell everybody, the criticism of your behavior in private directly flows into your behavior publicly. Because there's a part of this that I have a prediction that the only reason why this is going out is because you are getting some kind of sick, twisted joy from people knowing about it. Because even the greatest egotist and narcissist would never put this kind of information out there. You're getting off on this, bro. You're getting off on this. I'm stealing that, Ace. Did your dad even share a time zone with you?
With your friends, and that's just how friendships are. My girlfriend, on the other hand, always...
Also, excuse me, what? Let's go back a couple of seconds and hear that without the clip chimp.
Big, honest, and open discussion about it. I've spent my entire life surrounded by casual sex. It's just the lifestyle that I grew up in. From when I was like 15 onward, it was just a simple fact that sometimes you hook up with your friends, and that's just how friendships are. My girlfriend, on the other hand, always considered...
Also, straight up admittance, I spent my life from 15 that I fucked my friends. Oh, fuck. Make it make sense, chat. Make it make sense. Make it make sense, chat. Make it make sense. You gotta make it make sense. Someone please help me make it make sense. My brain is frying at the information that I'm hearing. Someone break out the quote. Someone break out the quote. Forget having no bitches. This transgender's got no friends.
Even something as simple as kissing to be this super intimate thing that should only ever happen between people who are in an actual relationship. Flirting was never as big of a deal. We've both always been massive flirts, but anything past that was a hard emotional boundary for her in her relationships. I don't know, nor do I really care which perspective is morally correct. To be honest, both of these viewpoints are totally valid and reasonable in my mind. I actually remember a really funny conversation her and I had where we were talking about our different perspectives on casual intimacy, and I realized that kiss the homies goodnight was just a joke. That was kind of just what you did in most of my friend groups over my life. Well, once it felt like we'd healed from so much of what I did, the open relationship discussion went on the table again. As near as I can tell, she thinks that my casual relationship with sex, if expressed in honest and open ways, is actually healthier than the super strict, intimate relationship that she had with sex. And she said that she was down to try it out. She asked if she could have the first hookup outside of our relationship, and let's be honest, that's only fair, and I thought so at the time too. As I wrote all of this down, it felt like there was supposed to be this thunderclap sound effect in the background, but, well, no. I think open relationships can be incredibly toxic, but goddamn it, if you're as good at communication as my girlfriend and I had gotten over that season, I have to be honest, I think they're great. Ever since I was about 16, the first time I got myself into a really uncomfortable situation and felt unable to say no, I've been so incredibly afraid of my libido. I was convinced that it would just be this shadow hanging over me for my entire life that was going to get in the way of every relationship I'd ever have. That night, when we first discussed opening up the relationship, it was the first time that I ever felt like I could live comfortably with my libido. If it's fully disclosed, open, and honest, I don't need to be afraid of my temptations, and I don't even need to be afraid of acting on those temptations, so long as I do it the right way. So long as I let my girlfriend set the pace and the boundaries, I don't need to be afraid of hurting her anymore, and I don't need to feel horrible about myself every time I think that one of my friends is super hot. I was able to express this part of myself that I spent my entire adult life trying and failing to repress. As I said earlier, sex is a big part of my identity. Well, now it was a part of my identity that I didn't need to hide away anymore. While this video isn't supposed to be about how I went from having an incredibly
1 second. This sentence is taking me a while to write. Ah, fuck.
didn't need to hide away anymore. While this video isn't supposed to be about how I went from having an incredibly toxic and evil affair to
Let's touch really quick on that admittance there. I'll speak deeply sexual to anyone, but I will literally kiss the homies goodnight. She was willing to flex for me and wanted to have the first hall pass. This was the first time that I felt happy about acting on the temptation of my hypersexual urges. Sexual dysfunction is only a part of this. The other part of this is obviously they never had deeply respectful emotional relationships to people, where every single bit of their involvement with somebody had to be that they needed to bend to their desires, and that the only way to express their affection for them was to have sex with them. There is a lot of therapy that clearly did not get done here for Leadhead alone. And I think that they are an addict to telling the truth. I don't know what to call it other than truthism. It's like a form of lifestyle choice where being blunt and honest is supposed to be just who I am, man. But what they call truth and honesty is actually just open bids to constantly depend on other people's permission to be an asshole. Just constantly be an asshole. And whenever you confront them about them being an asshole, oh, I'm not being an asshole, bro, I'm just telling the truth. I feel much better that I was just able to tell you to your face how much I want to fuck your girlfriend, and how that if I didn't have such a deep, loving respect for you and her, I would bend her over this table and I would... Then, while I have you watching, I'd be able to just put her over here then finish inside her, and then watch you have to figure out whose kid you're raising. That's on purpose, Cecilia. That was the point. That was a bit. This is an like in a single player Carl stream, the jokes are visual as much as they are auditory. But no, it is the same thing as saying that instead of, well, deep hypersexuality is a part of my creature, that's like saying that, no, actually, when you say that I'm being a dick, I'm just telling the truth to you. Carl, you gotta understand, I love what you have with this person. But if it weren't for the fact that I am the way I am, I could just steal your man. Like, I could fuck him right now. Look, I'm in the DMs with him. I already got their number. I'm already working in on it. This is a person who's a dick. This is an asshole looking for a justification. Even still, they are still being narcissistic and selfish. Blatantly so. Blatantly so. It's the exact same. She might as well be naked. She might as well be naked and flaunting it.
Being in an honest and healthy open relationship, I think that the moment when we opened up our relationship was a really cool little milestone in how far we gotten and how much her trust in me and her comfort around sex in general had healed after months of just open and clear communication and honesty. Let's move on, though, with the clarification that my girlfriend has looked over every part of the script and knows that if she disagrees with or has a problem with anything I say here, she can tell me and I'll fix it. Hell, at this point, she has practically co-written this video with me, serving as both...
Now. And thus we arrive at the point that I made earlier. Instead of, I will never tell anybody anything, my penitence is that no, I will take this to the grave, and only she and I will know exactly how deeply I harmed her. Oh, my woman knows exactly everything I do, and she co-signed everything I'm about to say. In fact, I'm about to be wild and loose and trashy with this mess, but don't you worry, it had the stamp of vast approval. Narcissism. 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 High manipulation. High manipulation. Because a partner that respects their partner would not tell them this shit. Some things I'm not able to even say about my relationship. Because not only is it not my place to say it, I don't have the right to put that shit out there. And yet, anything I say is approved of by my woman. Therefore, I can be as disgustingly filthy as possible. Literally anything I do has been co-signed by my woman to tell. So I'll drop the Boston Harbor's worth of tea all over my sex life. But don't you dare judge me for fucking doing it. You sexist pigs. Repugnant.
An artistic and a factual guide. And as long as I'm speaking candidly, I want to put it out there that nobody has forced me to make this video. And this is a video that I've wanted to make for a really long time, and I've asked everyone involved.
I deeply wanted to go onto the internet and post my L's publicly for everybody to see. I deeply needed to go out there and embarrass myself in front of a live studio audience so that everybody can know what I'm onto, and then tell them that they're a bunch of chuds for caring.
Over and over again, if they're okay with me telling the story. I haven't gotten a single no or even a meh. So my girlfriend clearly wasn't the only person who was affected by what I did. Ashley hated herself just as much as I did, and she hated me just as much as I did her after everything went down. Then you've got the girl she moved in with after I kicked her out. Let's call her Lily. These two people used to be super close to me, some of my best friends. Now they were just super close to my girlfriend, but they hated me, and understandably so. My girlfriend would go over to hang out with them and drink at their apartment once a week, and every single time, they were just manifesting all of my fears, spending hours and hours and hours trying to convince her to leave me. Ironically, they were disregarding her agency and her decision to stay with me in just the same way that I had done before. All the while, she's just defending me to the ends of the earth to these people. Not telling them that what I did wasn't that bad or anything, but conveying to them how hard I was trying to change and saying that it wasn't fair for them to hold it over my head when she, the affected party, wasn't holding it over my head. I was an anxious mess every time she'd go over there, but in truth, every time she went over, she was just building Ashley and Lily up to the point where they'd be willing to try talking to me again. First, it was Lily. After a couple months, her and I wound up meeting again and talking about our feelings about what had happened, and we reached a touchy, tenuous friendship. Then, amazingly, because my girlfriend is just amazing, I managed to do the same thing with Ashley. This girl who completely hated me for everything, just as much as I had hated her, managed to talk it all out and become friends again. This policy of open and honest communication didn't just make it possible for me and my girlfriend to move on, it made it possible for us to fix two long, dead friendships which I'd given up on ever reviving. She kept telling me over and over and over again that she would eventually get us to all be friends again, and it took a long time for me to believe her on that, but that's what I was talking about in my video on Yakuza Infinite Wealth. As long as you're real with people, and I mean really, really real with them, you can get a second chance. You can get all the second... Sorry.
Driving on the road without a seatbelt, blah, 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 too busy yapping.
You can get all the second chances you need, though. And as long as you've got that second chance, and like my girlfriend, you're willing to give people second chances, you've got infinite wealth. And my girlfriend is my own personal Kasuga Ichiban.
Just bragging, bragging, more bragging, more bragging. Man, I should have been punished, but I can't stop winning. I can't stop winning. I cheated on my partner and I can't stop winning. I can't stop winning. I can't stop winning. Never punished, never punished. I did the worst thing that anybody would do, but if I was a man, I'd be excoriated for it. Because I'm a lesbian woman who's also transgender, I can get away with it.
Well, now the four of us live together. And along with the fifth one who recently moved in with us.
And then we fucked. The end. Goodbye, just a girl. Okay.
Well, now the four of us live together. And along with the fifth one who recently moved in with us.
Okay, no, I heard that wrong. We live together. Okay. Including a fifth person. It pays to pay attention, Carl. It pays to pay attention.
These friendships were the reason that we were able to afford a new home to rent out. They're the found family that I kept talking about in my video on Eco, holding hands with a cute girl and escaping generational trauma. And
Your found family is the woman you cheated on, the woman you cheated on her with, the friend of the woman you cheated with, who's friends with the woman you cheated on, and a fifth person of exclosure which has yet to be communicated. Okay.
Video about my vertigo. I'm a medical mystery. If you really want to look into it, you could say that my dishonesty lost us our home in the Minecraft video, and the honesty that my girlfriend had taught me how to have was what got us a new home in my Eco video. Well, that and her faith in Ashley and I. Ashley had, of course, been working just as hard as I was on becoming a better person. After all, she was part of the affair, too. My girlfriend gave her the same deal she gave me. If you commit to being a better person, I'll have faith in you. It's a deal I've actually stolen and extended to someone else in the friend group since then because I was just so inspired by how accepting she was. What's funny is that now I, who was once the most secretive person, have kind of become the morality police for the whole household. My girlfriend and I are the ones who have been pushing everyone so hard to be upfront about everything they're feeling. I'm the one who's always saying, I know I'm the casual sex person, but you guys really shouldn't be having casual sex while you still don't know how each other feel about it.
Thank you, Blood Wolf. I appreciate the money. Celebration for his first super chat on a Carl stream. Okay, so it's just me, you, the woman I cheated on you with, her friend, and this random guy. We're a real family. A real family picture by Marlboro and Company. And I became the moral compass. I'm going to put in close brackets of sex for the house taking on responsibilities. I have very few nice words. Believe me, I have words. None of them are legal for YouTube. None of them are legal for YouTube, chat. Not a single one of them is legal for YouTube. Believe you me, I am saying slurs in my head right now. I am saying slurs in my head.
She's the one saying you have to tell them how you feel. I'm the one saying that these people need to tell their secrets to each other, even when they know that it'll hurt them. The two of us are always, almost every single day, having big talks with these people about how we're not going to keep their secrets for them, and how they should just be telling the other person what's up. A lot of you would say that I don't deserve this. Maybe you're right. God knows I feel like just the luckiest person in the world. This is what I was talking about in Love, a video essay. Love is about knowing that there are things wrong with you and turning those negative feelings into positive ones by working on your problems together. Sure, maybe I don't deserve love, but I have it. And besides, love isn't about deserving things. You don't earn another person's love. She loves me, and that's her choice, and I've got to live up to it. Maybe all of this pushing people to be honest stuff.
So, the problem there, Leadhead, is that is actually earning their love. Love is a choice. In order for you to love something... The scab reformed in my head. In order for you to love something, you need to like something. In order for you to like something, you have to appreciate it. In order for you to appreciate something, something that you actually need, something that is deeply concerning, something that is emotionally connective, you have to be able to bring yourself to understand that that is a living, breathing concept. That it's not an object, it is a person. Because when you do that, and it's for an inanimate object, or over a concept of an idea, that is feelings. Okay? So, love is not an emotion. It is an action. You have to actively do something. The action that love is participating in is devotion. Devotion is an extension of likes and wants and desires. To be devoted to something means you made an explicit choice. So, in most people's cases, devotion is talked about in the concept of the ephemeral and the spiritual. I am devoted to God. I devote my life to medicine and science. I devote myself to my family. To do an action of devotion requires blind fanaticism. Because love, eros, is uncontrollable lust and desire. Because love itself is unconditional. It is as much as living and breathing as is the job of an erection rising and falling with the fear and the cortisol and serotonin in your system. However, it is something that cannot be expressed by words. Saying you love someone means nothing. Proving you love someone by doing something, like say, I am one of God's chosen, therefore I dedicate these lives to you, type shit, is an example of that devotion. You have to prove it by acting on it. You haven't actually still done said work. You've just looked yourself into a sex club. You didn't have to really devote yourself to doing something for your partner. Your partner was already going to bend for you. You didn't have to bend. You didn't have to change. You literally did nothing different. You continued being a sexual degenerate. You continue to be a sexual degenerate. You learned no lesson. You took no advice. You made no personal change at the cost of yourself. And you believe that that is being moral. Love is a choice that has to start with like and affection. Because you actually do have to earn people's love and affection. Why do people spend time getting to know each other before they get married? Because you need to know who you're marrying. You need to vet the person that you're in a relationship with. You need to show that they are able to do for you, and they have to expect of you that you can do for them. If we go by the modern standard, which is a man should pay the way of every woman in society, and a woman should be capable of getting things given to her all the time. She shouldn't have to lift her finger. The traditional idea. But you live in a modern circumstance where you actually have to do work and effort. There is no world where you can ever say that is exactly what you did. You did not have to do work and real effort that cost you something. When forced to recognize the complex and confrontation of issue, you decided that what you did was good enough. It was not, but you decided that what you did was good enough, despite the fact that it actually fucking wasn't. And you say, I didn't have to earn it. That I shouldn't have to earn it, when you did have to earn it. All of us have to earn it. The only type of love that is unconditional is the love you get from your parents. Because that is a series of biochemical responses in your head that give them the incentive to biologically keep you alive. We base our society on those emotions and try to evocate them as the persuasive argument to keep our species breeding and breathing and growing. I am not trying to debase it to a philosophical point. You need all of them at the same time. You need the emotional, you need the spiritual, you need the cultural. Because that is where you base your personal philosophy. Now, clearly, your personal philosophy is, I'm gonna clap the cheeks of anybody who I feel is cute. You're out here actually rant-maxing. Believe it or not, chat. They're living the dream of most incels on the internet. They are rant-maxing. They meet a woman, they fuck a woman. Allegedly. And yet you have done nothing to demonstrate that you have earned affection and love. So like, what the fuck, what is the point of what you're saying, bro? I'm not saying that love is jumping through hoops for the dedication of somebody who will never show you appreciation and affect him. What I am saying is that love is reciprocative. It is appreciated. And not only is it reciprocal, it is reciprocal without expectation of return. You don't drop $1,000 on your woman and expect her to appreciate you because you bought her expensive shit. You do the things that you want for her with money being no object because the sentimental value matters more than the monetary cost. But unfortunately, they never learned the lesson that you cannot put a price tag on things. Because really, if there was an actual price tag, I am almost completely certain that Leadhead would pay it immediately just to get back what they perceived they needed or wanted. If things hadn't worked out like this, then it would have stayed the same. So I believe this does actually sum up the question. The people who they're currently living in this house situation is in fact the polycule that they brought themselves to be inside of.
Looks hypocritical of me, but goddammit, I'd rather be a
If that doesn't make your skin crawl as they play fucking Earthbound music to their fucking cope session, I don't know what the fuck will, chat.
hypocrite than be wrong. And all of this hypocrisy is the reason that these people, this new family of mine, have come to trust me so deeply. It's the reason they let me tell them when I think they're messing up, and that they should be more honest with each other. It's the reason that they trust me when I say I'm having vertigo problems, and that I'll get around to doing my chores later once the sun goes down and it's less hot out. Hell, my crusading for open communication has even gone the other way every now and then. My girlfriend has had a fair share of problems every once in a while with feeling like she wasn't allowed to be in a bad mood. Like, her emotions were a problem. It's taken a lot of convincing from me to get her to open up about some of her own negative emotions when it comes to certain topics. Just as she did for me, I've had to push her here and there for her to open up about a lot of things and get comfortable talking about her feelings. And just as I experienced, the proposal of totally open communication has made us both feel so much more secure in the relationship. I gotta go pick her up. But speaking of proposals, one thing that I absolutely cannot relate to anymore is the old cliche of somebody deciding that they want to marry somebody, and then keeping that a secret for multiple months while they save up for a ring and plan out the perfect way to propose to them. It just doesn't make sense to me. I don't understand being able to keep something that huge from somebody. I'm gonna drive.
Because it's about the surprise or surprising them with something that you want to take them aback with. This is mostly a traditional thing that has been done in society, projected amongst males, pushed onto us by sales agencies as a affectation of giving women things that they can appreciate physically. Show her that she means a lot to you by paying for a giant $10,000 ring on her finger, when you could probably pay the down payment on your mortgage and be able to get her a $50 ring that is not only cheaper but is more sentimental, because it's not how much you paid for it, it's the emotions that's tied to it. But you know, I'm just a simple man that thinks through things correctly, so you know what? That's just me.
Drive to her work. I'll get back to you in just a minute. The five of us were sitting on the porch. They were all drinking, but I was sober as always when I looked up at my girlfriend and realized I'm ready for this. The communication and trust between us was all I really needed in order to know that we was when I looked up at my girlfriend and realized I'm ready for this. The communication and trust between us was all I really needed in order to know that we weren't going to end up like that old couple I talked about earlier.
What a talking point. It took me cheating on you and having a sexual open relationship with your extended friend group to know that I wanted to marry you. I have no words. I have no words. We're almost done.
I didn't have a ring or a big fancy plan, but I proposed to her, and she said yes. We'll be getting married in a few months. This woman who taught me to be honest, and taught me that what they don't know can still hurt them, and taught me that there's a doorway in my wall, an opening in my Leadhead, is my fiance now. And it all stemmed from yet another little feeling that I couldn't keep secret for more than a little bit, more than 10 seconds. And you know what, after watching through this whole series, you might all say that I have a really strange way of expressing myself, but god damn it, I express myself. Anything. Have a good night at work.
Performative, performative, performative. All of it is performative. Performative, even for the point of bringing them in on camera. Granted, I think it's convenient that they happen to be too tall for them to fit in, but performative, 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 performative. Strange is not even the worst way to phrase it. Don't you feel emotions, chat? Chat, don't you feel emotions? Don't you feel emotions? Chat, don't you feel emotions? Isn't it so emotional? Look at all the people. Look at all the people who made it possible for me to get away with cheating on my girlfriend. Look at it! Thanks to all my humble Patreon supporters, you giving me money means that I can be able to make content bragging about how I broke one of the biggest tenements of relationships, and I'm never punished. I'm always lucky. I can't stop winning. I can't stop winning. I can't stop winning. I can't stop winning. Oh, the privileges of being a leftist, I swear to God. Too big. And there, right there, that is the video. There's, of course, a little bit of a hang-on piece. We're going to watch the rest of this on the end here. They tagged a bridge to celebrate their cheating, philandering ways. Be still, my beating heart.
Okay, sorry y'all, the hurricane is kind of popping off here, and so I have to get this recorded as soon as possible. I didn't even have time to clean my room, but I need to get this video live before the power goes out, or something. Obviously...
Take stock of the room. Take stock of the room. Obviously, transgender flag in the background. It's never good enough just to be proud. I can be proudful in your personal life. You have to have some type of affectation on the wall, said Carl, as he has this monument to gaming behind himself.
This is one I've had a lot of emotional investment in for a very long time. Hopefully you stuck to the end, and hopefully you don't hate me. But that's the story. If you haven't gone and watched the entire playlist, I'd appreciate it if you did. That's really all I can say about that. I think this video was kind of written with the presumption that the viewer has seen the whole playlist, although of course it's not. You know, it stands on its own regardless.
Listen, guys, they have designed it so that it could stand on its own. It is important for you to understand that they thought about the fact that you'd be watching the entire playlist, and that you would understand the context of why they needed to cheat on their fucking fiancé. And even if you didn't watch the entire playlist, the work stands on its own. So, they had the full intention of telling you everything about them, and then said, but don't you dare judge me about it. I was being honest. You betrayed my honesty. Narcissism, again, let's finish.
I gotta get this thing rendered though. I would kind of love to talk to you more about how much of a massive, massive, massive emotional toll the editing process of this video is taking on me, and writing and all that.
The massive emotional toll of this video, and telling you all about my misbehaving and my bad behavior. Oh man, it's keeping me up at night, guys, but you know what isn't necessarily keeping me up at night? The fact that I'm choosing to still do it anyways. Or any of the things that I was doing beforehand, before I told my then girlfriend, now fiance, now co-mother of our transgender sexual fetish house. Oh, my head hurts. I don't even have the ability to finish my joke. Anyways.
This is the most horrified I've ever been to make a video, and I've kind of been a mess ever since I started to work on it.
Good.
Like,
you should be horrified.
A real mess.
You did something horrible, and you're profiting off of it.
Assuring me that I was doing the right thing and that this was a story that deserved to be told.
This was not a good thing to do. This was the worst story to tell. You should have kept it to yourself.
There were some people asking if this was fiction because of the way that I phrased the Discord notification about this playlist. No, none of this is fiction. I don't lie on this channel.
So not only did you do it for people's attention on the internet, you bragged about doing it to your Discord audience to make them aware of your content. And they thought in good, honest faith that it was satire. So, lo and behold, chat, even leftists didn't believe this shit. The transgender, the NBs, the non-binaries, the aces, they thought it was a joke too. They thought it was satire too. We can make bases. We can find peace. However, I don't believe that they don't lie. But it's possible. The left wing and the right wing can come together to purge this from our timelines.
This is what my life has been for about a year now. But with that out of the way, I'd like to go ahead and verbally thank the patrons, especially those who donate $10 or more monthly, such as Thea Westfall, Adam Hawk.
So just like at the back of the video, this is going to be them reading out all the extra $10 up pledges and then yapping about the content. Okay, chat. This is dense. So, let's put into stock everything that we now have collaborated aside on what we learned from the first, right? So, Leadhead cheats on their partner because they were failing at the masculine role of emotionally supporting your partner. And because they failed at that job, they cheated on them with a member of their friend group that also was their roommate, actively having sex with them frequently. For how long it existed and lasted, we do not know. But they held on to the secret of the affair for over a year. Or actually, no, a little under a year, if you count a missing 33 or so days. Nearly exactly on the anniversary of the admittance to the date. And they come forward to not only talk about how actually I'm never punished about my sexual behavior. No, I'm just hypersexual. I just love to fuck. I love to just spread it around. It's like butter. I put it on some of you, I put it on some of you, I put it on some of you. This is just how I am. I was like this since I was 15 years old. And it's just important to me that I have sex with as many people as possible. So, I had to cheat on you, babe. It was for my mental health. But oh no, I ruined your mental health. But I'm always lucky. I can't stop winning. I can't stop winning. I can't stop coming. They not only benefit from the monetary involvement of telling people about their cheating, they then wrap around a soft story about, hey guys, I was evil and mean, but now I learned to be good. Now I'm getting married. Like this is the ending of a fucking battle anime where characters go off to get pregnant and have families. Like this is the broken timeline of Code Geass. Aw, man. It's really sad that fucking every main character that you really liked lived and or died a horrible death. But the people who are the worst ones that should have never had happiness, bro, they went off to go get all of the things fulfilled for them. But this is not like Code Geass, bro. No, you were not a noble hero trying to give people a villain to hate so that the world could be unified. No, this is not the ending of the book or movie version of Watchmen, where somebody else has to die in order to keep your perfect world alive. No, you sacrificed the honesty, the integrity, and the corruption of your partner's boundaries and of your moral standing to then narcissistically brag about the fact that because of your partner becoming involved in the sex trade that you wanted to be a part of, that you would then get them to have an open relationship. And that as long as they were okay with it, it was completely fine. They co-signed everything you do. Nothing at all is wrong. Nothing at all is bad. And from this sexual delusion of yours, you found motherhood. You became a parent. You were responsible for other people. No, the fuck you're not. So it remains to be seen that not only do you have a deep hatred for your family, you have a deep hatred for the father figures and mother figures in your life. You took away all of the wrong lessons. You disrespected them, you hated them. How am I to believe that this gets better from here? I don't, chat. I honestly don't see how this gets better from here. Anyways, that being said, hopefully the internet did not drop again somewhere in the middle. I'm Carl. This has been my chat. Thank you to every single person who donated on the stream and showed up. Thank you. If this was your first time coming to a stream, please make sure to raise your hand so that we can now direct you towards the Carlist, who will now give you some Cajun seasoning and branding. This brand will be chosen on a part of your body of your choice. Especially good extra thanks to Megalag, Just a Girl, and Bloodwolf for your humble donations. They go to a wonderful place. Me? I joke, I kid, but they do. And if you like the content that you have viewed today and you would like to see more, please click on the button in the chat room for my bot to see more and join more. Become a member of the community. Join the Carlist. Choose your denomination of Carlism and defend the one true Carl as you learn more about shit that we probably should have never learned about. And remember, it's only gonna get worse from here. This is only part 2 out of a total of 8 videos for us to dig through. At the very least, the longest of the long videos is the next one in the list, because the next video is 40 minutes and 25 seconds. Then the rest of them are at least close to shorter than 40 minutes. And then the last ones are like 17, 20, and 26 minutes long. So, as we continue working backwards, please keep in mind that a transgender in Appalachia is 100% happy with the fact that they got to be unpunished. Where normal content creators and normal streamers and normal creators on the internet would have been ruined socially, they get away with it. All of this was made responsible in part to you by Horror and Hellfire, by the way. Where my agony is her fun. The Hellfire and Horror Playground. Now commissioning for African Americans. Don't let your pain be dreams. Let them be our entertainment too. That might actually end up going inside my notes for the fucking Carl ads. Anyways. Thank you for watching. Feel free to watch this at your leisure. Tell your friends, tell your mom, tell your communities, and tell me what you think in the comments section. I am hungry, and I want to play a video game to forget what I just heard and saw and discussed. But take into your hearts the things that I discussed here today, and know that you too can be good at single player Carl. We will see you next time, chat. Same Carl time, same Carl family. And know that I appreciate all of you. I love you all. I am billing you for therapy. However, that being said, I am really hungry. The Shiro is on VC if you want to join the tar chat. Not while I'm live. Because I don't have permission from Dev to make content from inside of your server on things that he is not necessarily responsible for, since this show has content interaction with the audience. I can talk to him afterwards. Anyways, I need dinner now. Bye, chat. Goodbye. 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 And 07s. 07 chat. Goodbye.